Hey guys, what's up? It's me and Claire. We're here. We're going to be talking about generally what we usually talk about, which is Noahide or, that kind of thing. First thing I want to say is that I'm putting up a banner on the, um, hold on, where is it? On, on the screen. I am on shadow ban. So anything that I post on here, you really can't find it on YouTube. So I have a page where all my stuff is lined up, and if I can find the banner, um, why do I only have 4 banners? What happened?
What are banners?
Banners are the things that you put on the bottom of like when you want to keep something up. I'll show you in a second. I just need to hold on one second. I just
Mhm.
need to make a new banner because it I need to make a new banner
Okay.
because so as I was saying, I am on shadow ban for some reason, so you cannot find my my work on um you cannot find my work on YouTube. So you have to go to my website, which is Vincent Bruno Shadowban .blogspot.com, which I'm about to put up on the screen. So hold on one second. Almost there. So yeah, as usual, that's just the spiel that I have to give in the beginning. As okay, that's a banner. You see the little thing at the bottom?
Oh right, so Bruno Shadowban. Okay. Oh, you got the paid version of StreamYard, right? That's only available on StreamYard. Is that the
I don't know.
situation?
I think it's free on Streamyard.
Hmm.
I think
Well, I'm
it's
on StreamYard. I don't think I have the option, or maybe I wasn't aware of it.
yeah, I guess. You don't why you don't stream with Streamyard anymore?
Well, I use up my 20 hours of free time and then I switch over to OBS, which is free.
Okay. Yeah, I have a paid version of Streamyard. Not maybe that I don't use it anymore. It's a real bummer. It's hard to like keep up an audience when you um they can't find your videos, you know what I mean? And even if you go to my um page, you can't see my videos either. There's no way to see my videos unless you type in the exact name of the video and then you type in like the time frame in which it was posted. Like if it was posted today, you have to do today. If it was posted this week or this year, you have to do this year. So it's really hard to find my videos.
Well, what I've done when we stream is tag you. So I tag both your channels, your shadow band channel. So if people look around a bit harder, they'll find that they can get to your channel if they click on this link in the descriptions.
Yes. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for, and hopefully, though I haven't been streaming as much as usual. I haven't been doing a lot. Only like maybe in the yesterday or maybe 3 days ago, I started blogging again for the first time in like a month and a half. Um, I'm doing a book review on The Rainbow Covenant by Michael Dallin, and I was posting on that, like once a day for a while. So my thing was I didn't want to just just do book review and pour them with book review. So my pattern was I would do book review, then an article I found, then book review, then an article I found, then book review, and then an article I found. And I don't know why I just couldn't. It happens to me. I go through these spells where I just can't work on it anymore, and
Hmm.
I need to stop. And so I'm just getting back into it now. And did you see the article I put out about the Sabbath?
Not yet, but you post on Facebook a lot more now, and this is actually what I prefer, because I think these things are better dealt with in by text than just by yakking, because people can waste so much time talking nonsense,
Yeah,
can't they? And at least with words you kind of immediately spot that they're talking rubbish or something. Anyway, I prefer to deal with things on Facebook.
yeah, yeah. Me too. It is. It's
It's just sort of more subject to analysis,
yeah,
because it's like it's more immediately obvious that somebody's talking nonsense when you can kind of see the whole paragraph of what they wrote,
yeah,
rather than, oh, they're talking nonsense, I have to interrupt, blah blah.
yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true. Um, yeah, it's true. Yeah,
And I find it's actually more therapeutic to write it down, because it's clearer in your head, what the problem is, and that and it's quicker. You deal with it quicker. People spot the error quicker, they deal with it quicker, and it just doesn't take so much time and effort, in my view.
but I want to send you that article I did on the Sabbath and why uh, Gentiles are not allowed to keep the Sabbath. And it's crazy. I mean, they're talking first. I mean, it's crazy in that they're like, well, if okay, Gentiles are not allowed to just not can they not go to work on the Sabbath. I mean, not only can they take off on the Sabbath, they cannot take any day off. They cannot invent any day of the week as a day of rest. They cannot fabricate a new Sabbath for themselves. And they're talking about this and they're like, oh, it's like a king and queen talking, and then a stranger comes and interrupts them. And he's like, the stranger, needs to be punished. And um,
Do you want me to justify the Sabbath for you? Because I
well,
think I
can you
can.
justify
I think I
why you're
can.
not allowed to do any day of the week off? Oh no, they did justify it. They said that Jews might copy you. They said if you take a day off, Jews might copy you. So they don't want them doing that. No, 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 but it was that. But also the bigger thing was they're like, oh, it's a gift to the Jews only. It's a special commemoration between them and God. And to make your own day is like saying that, oh, it's not special for the Jews. Sabbath is special for the Jews, but not for anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that the Seventh Day Adventists kind of want to be like Jews, so they have their Sabbath on the Saturday, while Christians or conventional Christians have it on the Sunday. And there's always been a dispute, because in a way I can understand that Jews are like, you've just taken our commandments. It's not for you, it's for us. you know it's a huge act of cultural appropriation, I think. But anyway, there's enough um, confusion about it. So I mean, and then I guess the question you might ask is, why do Jews get their Sabbath and the others don't? And I'm saying, well, they don't seem to want it. We've had the Sabbath um, in the UK for quite a while. I mean, there's something called Sunday trading laws, and once upon a time, when I was much younger, you weren't allowed to open your shop other than if you were a restaurant or it's very restricted, and and Sundays were meant to be really boring, and you were meant to have Sunday lunch with your family, and feel really left out if you didn't have family, and or just go on long walks, but then it might be raining, and and but I think it was intentional. It was like, you get bored and you think of your future when you are bored on a wet and gloomy Sunday afternoon. And that was the whole idea of the Sabbath, I think. But now we are distracted by, I don't know, bowling and movies and, that kind of thing.
Well, they said the Sabbath. Okay, and the other thing that they were talking about is that the Sabbath is meant for Jews that they read Torah all day. They're not.
Yes, they need to think about being Jews and why they, that they have to do this thing, and it's such a terrible death penalty if they break it. Well, the others can just do what they like. That is kind of what, is that they're meant to think about their Jewish identity. Well, anyway, it seems obvious to me that if I were God making them do this thing, it's like, yeah, you're meant to keep thinking about your Jewish identity, and the others don't, because what, and because you're special, right? You're special to do what? And they're meant to, well, answer the question, and they still can't answer the question properly, can they?
No, they can't.
Well, I have the answer for them, but they're not interested.
You always have the same answers, right? Which is rank the 4 Gentile religions.
To be light unto the nations, lighting the way of the Gentile away from idolatry and into Islam.
Yeah, okay, but the one thing is, as we've discussed and we've been discussing, first of all, the Noahide laws are older than Islam because they at least the first time appear in the Talmud, and the Talmud is about 200 years older than the Quran, right? Like the Talmud was written around 400 CE and Islam appeared around 600 CE, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there was no need. The Noahide laws are perfect. And okay, the Jews are are commanded to be a light unto the nations, but the Noahide laws are just the program that they developed for to do this. I mean, and they're allowed to do that. God is not, telling them. God didn't lay down a system for them about how to be a light unto the nations. He said, just be a light unto the nations. And so they formulated the Noahide laws. And so there's nothing wrong with the Noahide laws. They're perfect as there is. So there was no need for a second revelation. There was no need to invent a new religion. So not only is Islam inventing a new religion, it's also anti-Semitism because they already created the perfect system for you, which they're allowed to use their creativity, and you just denied it because they're Jews, and you went forward and made a whole new religion just because you didn't want to listen to Jews. And then
Well, but the narrative is that the Quran was revealed by God. I know you don't believe it, but this is what Muslims believe. That they are the ones in receipt
no,
of the
it couldn't
final
have
and
been.
better
It
revelation
could
than the
not.
Torah.
It could not have been revealed by God because there was nothing wrong with the Noahide laws. There was no need for a
Where
second.
are they? I've told you,
The
we've been
Jews,
through the
okay,
problem.
where in the Torah does it tell the Jews how to be a light unto the nations?
It's not in the Torah. That's in Isaiah, isn't it?
No, it doesn't
Well,
teach them. It doesn't teach them
okay, light
how.
unto nations. Okay, it is not in the Torah. It's in the Tanakh, right?
Yeah, it's in the Tanakh. It's in the Tanakh, be a light unto the nations, and that everyone of the world would go to the Jews and go to and pull on their skirts and say, teach us, God is with you. So how did the Jews do this? Like what is
By ranking the 4 Gentile religions,
no,
which they won't
Islam
do.
wasn't even
It's
around.
okay. It's the book of Isaiah.
No, the Islam was not even around when the Noahide laws were formulated. So the idea of ranking Islam as number one is ridiculous. That was their intention. That's not their intention.
Vincent, it was your idea. I got the idea from you. You know, this ranking of the four Gentile religions, because you talked about, ooh, it's like a 7-star ranking system, and I thought, yeah, it is. I got
Mm,
the idea from you.
yeah, I remember. I said that. Yeah, 7-star ranking system.
Yes, so now they're going, oh, what should we do? Everybody hates us, and I say just rank it and post your ranking on social media so everybody knows what or they might ask. It's like, ooh, number one Islam, number two Buddhism, number three Hinduism, number four Christianity. What do you mean? And then they can explain. And this is all they have to do, and it's so easy. It's not like I'm asking them to, go and face a mob of anti-Semites to preach, the against the sin of idolatry. I'm not asking them to do that. I'm not asking them to confront Christians or anything because I know they're scared. So that's all I'm doing, and they won't do it because they're obviously still scared. And the fact that they're scared, even though, in theory, they're protected by the First Amendment and the European um, what's that? European Convention of Human Rights.
Mm.
That they still won't do it, and it's not like the Muslims are any better because they're actually commanded in chapter 18, verse 4, to admonish those who claim that God has begotten a son. And they haven't done it. I've asked all these Muslim scholars, it's like, hey, when did you ever do it? And it's like, ooh, blank look. And then they said, oh, I just said that to a Christian. It's like, no, it doesn't count when some lowly Muslim says it to a lowly Christian. It's got to be a national leader of Muslims, asking the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury how and why Christianity is not idolatry. And when they predictably say, it's not idolatry to worship Jesus, if Jesus is God, then the next question has to be asked, how is Jesus God? And then all these Christians will run away. But at least, the point will have been made that the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury cannot defend the Trinity. And that's all they have to do. I mean, it's so easy and they won't do it and they pretend not to understand. And even the Muslims, it's like, you just whinge about the Jews and how wicked. And, it's like, well, you haven't done your thing either, have you? Because there's no record in their history of having done it. 1,400 years of history, of Islamic history. They haven't done it. And now they go, oh, no, Christianity is not idolatry, or meant to be nice to the Christians. And it's like, no, you look at them. Look at them being globo homo and gaily married and transgender, and look at Western civilization crumbling around their ears. And they I don't know, Vincent. I mean, I don't expect, I know you like Globo Homo and all that, but I mean, just from the standpoint of these people, it's like they see but do not. Well, they do not see.
You're talking about moderate Muslims, secular Muslims?
Well, just anybody who calls himself a Muslim. Okay, they can say, I'm a cultural Muslim. I'm only doing it because I don't want to offend mum and dad who will be really annoyed with me if I say, I'm but I mean, I have a plan under secular Quranism to have a category of Muslims who are qualified Muslims who have basically read the Quran and have passed an exam in it. I mean, that's the only way to distinguish these sort of idiot Muslims who don't know anything, who haven't read their own book, with people who read the Quran and knows what it says. Because there are all these people floating around saying, yeah, I'm Jewish, but I eat pork, and I'm gay, and I'm Duvits are worse, and I'm a Hindu. It's like, what is going on? I don't know. It's just like a Nazi saying, oh, but I love Jews, or a Jew saying, oh, but I love Nazis.
Like Kanye West.
Well, I mean, I guess everybody assumes that Nazis hate Jews and people who hate Jews love Nazis.
Well, look, um, Yeah, it seems like people don't really take their religion very seriously these days, and they don't really care. Just like
Yeah,
what.
yeah, and I'm just saying, it's like, okay, I'm an agnostic, but you should consider the possibility of God existing and being, well, infuriated by all this. So it's not just, all these atheists denying God. It's all these people who call themselves Jews, who call themselves Christians, who call themselves Muslims, and they don't believe. Because if they did, they would go, "Ooh, well, the only way to worship God is to obey His laws." And the least we can do is say we want to, or show some knowledge of them.
Yeah, I know. I think it's up to people like us to shove it in their face, and that's why I like the Noahide laws because it kind of does shove it in your face a little bit more than anybody else does. I mean,
Well,
well,
it's ironic, isn't it, considering you're well, you deny the existence of God, but because of your background as a Jehovah's Witness, you actually are quite theologically informed, and I'm agnostic. But I'm just saying, the only way to solve all the social and political problems of the West is to, well, change the rules that the West operates under. And it can only mean, dumping Christianity and liberalism for Islam.
yeah, well, I think that like I want to start a campaign. I would love to like have, what I would love? I would love to be able to put up like billboards around the country and like on freeways and stuff like that and get people, you know, messages that really rile people up. But like one of them I would say Noahidism like Islam but with capitalism. I think that that's like a selling point of a difference that the West. First of all, there's two big reasons. Number one, yeah, capitalism. Number two, the idea that you don't need to switch from the Bible. Basically, the only thing you have to do is give up the Old Testament, but everything else is familiar with you. You don't need to learn a whole new book and culture and restart theologically because you don't understand making the West Islamic is not going to happen so easily. I mean, you have to kind of retrain everybody. Um, in
Yeah, yeah, I know. Okay, I mean, I'm prepared for all these questions, like, oh, well, how are you going to make it happen, Claire? And I think, assuming that the constitutional amendment to make the commandments of Allah the supreme law of the United States is passed, I mean, what else is going to happen? And I'm saying it's really quite simple. You just make every law student who wants to get his degree in law pass an exam in Quranic knowledge, and then that's it. So, and okay, I mean, it has to start first with the Supreme Court of America, the U.S. Supreme Court, and I just say to the justices of the Supreme Court that they have to read the Quran and write a few essays about it, which I will set, and then um, yeah, earlier today, I thought of this great idea, and I'm saying, how are you going to deal with the Quran? I'm saying, you, yeah, it just came to me in a flash as I was, lying in bed. So you get these marker pens, and you mark all the verses that you think are commandments and prohibitions in one color, and then for the second lot, or just the stories, they talk about Moses and Abraham and all kinds of things, kinds of prophets and other stories, and then the other ones, and I think the third category would be the threats and promises of God. So. So that there's really three categories. You need three kinds of colors on your marker, uh, your marker pen, and then you just, well, do it that way.
Wait,
And then
what's the third color for? What's the third color for?
okay, so I'm saying that the Quran can be divided into the following categories: laws, which is basically the do's and don'ts of the Quran. And then the second part would be the stories, which cannot be legislated for. And then the third bit is God talking to the reader and threatening and promising, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And once you do that, your knowledge of the Quran would just increase, just by this little exercise.
Well, I don't
You
know.
could do it, Vincent. I mean, I wish you would, and then
Well, we
all
started
these.
going. I mean, we started going over those laws of the Quran, and
That was a digest made by somebody called Parwes. I'm saying you actually have to read the thing yourself.
I tried. I can't read that thing. Maybe I'll try again.
Yeah, I mean, okay, get the Penguin and J. Darwood translation. He's actually not a Muslim, but an Iraqi Jew. But I just find that of all the translations of the Quran that I've read, his is the most memorable and poetic, and just well, nicely put, I thought. So yeah, I mean, three marker pens. I don't know, whatever color you like, and just go through them, so what that in your mind you can separate them out. And obviously, as far as secular Quranism is concerned, it's only interested in the do's and don'ts. Because I'm sick and tired of all these Muslims saying, Al-Fatiha, which is, the first chapter. And it's like, and God says this and that. And I say, well, I can't legislate what God says, to us. It can't be legislated for. And what about the verses of God saying, he's going to prepare for you and, terrible punishment? It's like, yeah, how am I going to legislate for that? Because, it's like, well, I'm not God. I can't do any of these things about punishing people in their afterlife. So it's just stupid to expect me to, turn it into legislation, because it's obviously not meant to be turned into legislation. And so that's how you should categorize the different verses of the Quran, and just say, there's this bit only of the Quran that is relevant for the purposes of making the commandments of Allah the supreme law of the United States. And this is it. And everybody who, under the new regime, I suppose, will have to, read their Quran doing this exercise.
Okay, let's read the chat, because somebody complained that we're not reading the chat. Ye24 wants to know why his wrench was gone. I took away everyone's wrenches because it was just becoming a problem. That woman wants to know, why would anyone want a Sabbath enforced? Well, the point is that Gentiles, it's not that the Sabbath is enforced, an anti-Sabbath is enforced, where you must do work. No, an anti-Sabbath is enforced in that you're not allowed to celebrate the Sabbath, but also you're not allowed to make any other day of rest for yourself. So Sabbaths aren't enforced, they're prohibited.
Well, the thing is, it kind of makes sense. It's like, the Jews want to be able to have a Sabbath, but they don't want everybody to, the Gentiles to be not, be resting too, because then, well, it would be inconvenient. You want some shops to be open or something.
Gentiles are, look, it's not, the problem is not the Gentiles don't take Sabbath. They don't take Sabbath at all, even on a Monday. It says not even on a Monday may the Gentile rest, is the saying. So
really?
yes.
Well, they certainly don't rest. Well, they're not meant to rest on Mondays, are they?
They're not meant to rest on any day. They're not allowed to take a day of rest.
Well, apparently in Muslim countries, they don't. I mean, their big day is Friday prayers, but then it's just, it seems to be the men, going to prayers, and they get, an early, what do you call it? They get the afternoon off or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so they do have a day of rest. I mean, it's just that.
No, but they've done
even these days
work.
without Jews. I mean,
They've done some kind of work. I mean, you have to do some kind of work every day.
But we sort of do, really, don't we? I mean, even when we're
Well,
on
Jews are
holiday, we
supposed
kind
to
of.
not. Well, the thing is that Jews have something. I think the number is 39. They have 39 forbidden types of work, and the thing is that yeah, they have 39 types of forbidden work that they cannot do, and that's the definition of work. Whereas on the Sabbath, a Gentile has to do manual labor in order to avoid breaking, in order to avoid the washing the Sabbath.
Well, I think the whole idea is to, of the Sabbath, and forcing them to observe the Sabbath, is to concentrate their minds and say, look, you better work out, what God made you, His chosen people, to do. And they still haven't worked it out. So I'm not going to say you can't do it. It's like they still don't get it, right? They still don't get it about their role. For humanity. I mean, I'm sure, God, if He existed, say, oh, I'll just create these Jews to annoy the Gentiles. And even then, in their own Tanakh, it says, God didn't just create us to annoy the Gentiles. We're supposed to be light unto nations, and and I know that the Jews think they're supposed to pray for the world. It's like, we're kind of, and they talk about themselves as a kingdom of priests. So it's sort of as if we can't really understand God properly, unless
Without
it's
yeah.
through. Yeah, we kind of need
I
to
know,
them
Sharon.
to.
If you agree with all this, what's your problem with Noahidism?
I'm just saying that Noahidism is not. Okay, you assume that the Quran has not been revealed by God,
There
and,
was
and
no
I'm
need
and
for
I'm,
it
I'm,
because there's
I'm
no need
assuming it
for it.
has.
There's no need for it. I mean, the only reason that you need a new revelation is because you're an anti-Semite and you don't like the fact that the Jews on their own produced the perfect system to Noah Hidias, or to be a light onto the nations.
But they haven't done it in all
They're doing it
their
now.
existence.
They're doing it
No, but they're
now.
so utterly discredited now because they haven't done it, and everybody hates them because they haven't done anything. They've just
Well, yeah, that's why
partied with the
everybody hates.
peasants and become liberal and globo homo, and
Okay,
you
let's
know.
read the chat. Let's so in farting in fighting in fighting in the army of two. I don't know what that means. Fantasy. This is political cast. The Talmud is evil, says NMC. A book cannot be evil. Shalom to the chat. Let's see. Yeah, this is Ye20 Source said Vincent Bruno does not read his chats. Let's see.
You've actually got somebody who posts in Hebrew in your chat.
I know that's
That's
political.
cool, isn't it? Yes.
Give me 1
That's
second.
pretty cool.
I'm just seeing what everybody is saying.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? There's somebody posting in Hebrew in your chat.
Yeah, he must be Jewish, or maybe.
Or maybe you just use Google Translate.
Okay, the woman says, I will do and rest whatever day I please without say so of Jews. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we read
Pretty good show in the chat. Well done, Vincent.
Yeah, well, thank you for spreading the link, because if I spread the link on my channel, nobody would come, because people don't. I mean, now I've been getting this influx of new people I've been friending, and they're starting to comment on my stuff because it's all about, it's all like, pro Noahide and anti-Christian, and it's triggering them. But prior to that, nobody would respond to anything I would post at all.
Well, you hardly posted anything, but I think because you post more on Facebook, people are getting interested, and feel free. I mean, and you tag me, and the people who are my Facebook friends are interested in theology and religion. So, yeah, That would be a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Tagging me with your posts.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I tend to do, but yeah, I'll tag you. And yeah,
I
well,
wanted.
I think Politicast is a Jew.
Hmm.
I think so because he's telling that woman to take it up with God because she's sick of the Jews for thinking that there's something exceptional.
But that's the whole thing. I think, God deliberately created Jews to annoy Gentiles and created Gentiles to frighten Jews with their anti Semitism.
No, they
It's a
wouldn't
way of.
need. There would be no. Did you see my article? There would be no anti-Semitism if Jews from the start had spread the Noahide laws.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the whole idea. Okay, the whole idea of Islam is that, once Jews Noahideize the world by pushing people towards Islam, they can become Noahides too, and nothing bad will happen to them. It's only when they party with the peasants who are idolaters and blasphemers that enrages God, and that's what they've been doing too much of in the West because.
Okay, but
You know,
it's turning around now as the Messiah is approaching, as the Messianic age is approaching. It is the tide is turning. So, God is using the Jews right now in his time. I mean, look, God is directing them. So it was him who kept it away from the Gentiles under his auspices because that's the way he wanted it. And now he wants it rolled out now because that's his plan. And you are just against God's plan. So you need a new, you're saying, well, I'm not happy with the way you've done things, so I need to invent a new religion.
Yeah, because he obviously thinks, well, you Jews, you're just not up to it, are you? But you still want to cling to your high status identity and not do the purpose for which I made you, created you for. And they say, well, you obviously can't do the job, so I'm going to reveal the Quran to help you a little, and they still wouldn't.
No, wait. Who's Gandalf the White? Do you know who he is?
The Gandalf we know
Yeah, is it the
through
Gandalf?
through Jen and.
It is. Gandalf the White is
I
Gandalf.
don't. I'm not sure. I think yeah. No, I think that's him.
Gandalf, is that you? Do you know me, Gandalf? Do you want to come on?
That would be fun. We haven't heard from him for ages.
Yes, let's see. NMC said Synagogue of Satan. No,
Yes.
there was no. Well, also, Islam is not Noahide compliant because it allows idolatry in your house.
Yeah, but that's actually perfect for all these Buddhists and Hindus and
No, God
for
is not
people
going
who
to
want to
change
practice
his.
idolatry.
God is not going to change his stance on idolatry. He's not going to just let you do it because you did it privately. He detests idolatry.
Yeah, yeah, but if you don't believe in God, but then it wouldn't bother you. But we also know, don't we, Vincent, about the problem of hidden idolatry, which Jews and Muslims even correctly praying can. Or appearing to be correctly praying, can fall into it's when their mind wanders off and you know um, maybe thinking of a date to have sex with somebody they're not married to, and even as they go through their prayers. I mean, it's easy for the mind to wander, isn't it?
Look, somebody in their mind practicing idolatry is different than open idolatry that can influence other people and that other people can see, and which is actually, instead of just thinking about it, you actually do it.
Yes, bowing before idols is actually a capital offense. But for our, in our case, in our time, we can't just. Maybe it'll happen. Once the laws of God are in place, people will
No,
be
if this
turned
law
off
is in place
idolatry.
forever and ever and ever, you'll be able to practice idolatry in your house. It's not Noahide compliant. Noahidism is better. There's no idolatry in your house.
But it could be in your mind.
So
But
what's
anyway, I mean, it's a
happening?
bit harsh. It's a bit harsh, and the people are just not gonna, they're not gonna be turkeys
So
voting
you
for
don't like the
Christmas, even though you
harshness.
think they're very stupid now.
You don't like the harshness of the Noahide laws, so you make up Islam.
Well, I think God made it up, and He'll be offended if you reject His revelation in
Why
favor
would
of
God take?
stuff made
Why
up by
would
Jews
God?
who haven't even done what He chose them to do properly.
Why would
It just
God
doesn't make
allow
sense.
idolatry? Why would God allow idolatry?
Well, because He gave us free will. I mean, it's like asking, oh, why does God allow sin? Um, but I guess he wants us to know what's going to happen to your civilization if you practice idolatry the way the Christians have for nearly 2,000 years. And, and and really, I mean, it seems obvious now. It's like, well, if you're an idolater, it means that you reject the guidance of the Torah and the Quran, and you will, well, you just won't do as well as the Abrahamic faiths. And it's true, isn't it? I mean, I suppose the Chinese are in a peculiar category, uh, but it's arguable, I suppose, that they also have some idea of a supreme authority because of their mandate of heaven idea that existed in the times of emperors. Because I mean,
Give me one second. Oh, give me 1 second.
Okay, I'll read the chat. I want to ask Politicas why he says the Quran was not revealed. So please answer that question in the chat. Yes, yes.
What were you talking about?
Well, I'm just inviting Politicas to explain why he thinks the Quran was not revealed. But it's because he's Jewish, I suppose. He's just not meant to think that any other group is in receipt of better revelation than Jews.
They're not.
What?
They're not.
Who is not what?
Has a better revelation than the Jews.
Well, the Muslims would disagree, and I would disagree too, because whether you believe in God or not, you want a book of rules that doesn't have 36 capital offenses.
There aren't 36 capital offenses for Gentiles.
Yeah, but I'm saying even Jews would prefer a book of rules that doesn't have 36 capital offenses.
Well, who cares what Jews are doing? They can do whatever they want. There's enough Orthodox Jews that would do it. And this is
Sorry, would do what?
This has nothing to do with Jews. This is what Gentiles are just supposed to be doing.
Yes, but they get the whole. I mean, I'm afraid you can't just. Well, they're part of the solution, and perhaps they are part of the problem and the solution. But once Jews sort themselves out, everything else will fall into place. And that's why Jewish identity is very important. But unfortunately, they are also being affected by liberalism and losing their identity. Did you see that video that Judas posted about Rabbi David Bar Chaim complaining basically that half the people in Israel aren't even Jewish? Did you see that one?
You told me about it.
Yeah, well, obviously it's not a good a good situation for Jews to be in. And today I discovered that there's a split in secular Jewry. So obviously the Orthodox Jews just don't accept the authority of the board of deputies of British Jews. So there's this organisation, and currently it's run by, it's being led by a woman, and she's very politically correct. And there was a split because one of the people who was in the board of British deputies got done for Islamophobia. So he started a new organisation called the National Assembly of Jews, which I only discovered today because there was somebody that I met through Facebook, and he was saying, "Oh, who are you?" And I get a lot of trouble from extremists, and I can't work out from your timeline, what you support. And I thought, oh, good, it's not obvious then, in a way. So and he seems to have a background in the media, so things might be looking up if if he wants to talk to me, but he seems to want to talk to me because the things are not going well for them. They're splintering in all these groups, because obviously the man who was kicked out of the British the board of British deputies was saying, I'm entitled to say that. I want to say what's the name, Robert Spencer. Obviously a lot of them are anti-Islamophobes. And anyway, he got into trouble, and he started a new group. And this guy I'm talking to has left that group. So I don't know what's going on. Perhaps I'll find out very soon. But we know, okay, we know that these Muslims don't agree with each other either. They suffer the exact same thing as Jews, which is 2 Jews, 3 opinions, 2 Muslims, 3 opinions. And that's because they haven't got a pope to say, what I say is the final word. And then, you go back and think, why did the Pope have to pass the Edict of Papal Infallibility in the 1870s? Is because, the Catholics were having that problem too. And you can see now, why all these structures are necessary to get a final authority. So at least people will know. Somebody will decide. Eventually. Somebody will answer your question one way or the. I mean, I think that's important because we are all going crazy, aren't we? It's like every time you ask somebody a question, they're only going to say yes and no. Well, it's true, isn't it? I mean, you will eventually go mad. If every time you ask a question, there's, the answer is always, yeah, but no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Moses must be a Jew. He said nothing can harm God's chosen people,
Yeah. I mean, they'll still be around. I mean, God may, he won't let them all be completely exterminated because he wants them to do this thing that they keep not doing. But I was talking to, I forget to whom now, but do you know the story of Prometheus?
Yeah.
So that he's something to do with the fire, right? He gave fire to humanity, and Zeus was mad at him and then chained Prometheus to a rock and allowed and every day an eagle would eat his liver, and when it had and then but it would grow back again after the eagle had finished, so the torture would resume the next day. And perhaps it is the role of Jews to be Prometheus until they are released, because the story is that Hercules eventually found and rescued him, so he's not still suffering now, and And you know my argument of, for Jews is like, well, if you really believe that God exists, you would, be horrified at what lies in store for you in your afterlife with all these, broken Sabbaths, and living in cities that have gone astray in Christendom. I mean, that's half of them. Half of them live in Christendom. So if they're not executed for that in their Jewish lifetimes, they will be made to pay for it in their Jewish afterlife. So that's been happening, and they have no answer, these rabbis, because I put it to them, and I said, well, the only way you can escape all these afterlife punishments, which are pretty horrible, is to convert to Islam, and they have no answer, and that's why they avoid me.
Well,
just like the dissident writer.
Well, we were told by that one rabbi that a Jew cannot become a Noahide.
Well, it doesn't say that anywhere, because I think this is one of the questions that a bright child at yeshiva would ask. It's like, well, has anybody asked if Jews can become Noahides to escape this terrible life of restrictions and observing the Sabbath and, just going crazy over Passover and all the fuss that they have to do, to remain properly Jewish? I mean, that probably explains, why half the Jews in Israel just say we don't want to live like that, and we want to destroy your religion because we're sick and tired of Gentiles asking us, what we're doing at sports events on Saturdays, or smoking a cigarette on Saturdays, or driving a car on Saturdays. I bet they find it very annoying.
Politicus says that no, a Jew cannot become a Noahide.
What's the authority for that proposition? Where does it say? It doesn't say. I mean, of course, it wouldn't say that in the Torah, because, but the Quran would be authority for the proposition that Jews can become Noahides. Because if they're both from God, but then both are acceptable to God, and God is probably just sort of, standing there tapping his foot, wondering when the penny is going to drop with the Jews, who are supposed to be so clever.
Okay.
Yeah. The sound was so funny, saying, actually a lot of Jews are stupid. And the evidence for that is that they're stupid enough to be seduced by the Christians into Christianity.
Politicus says even stop believing in Hashem does not stop making you a Jew.
Sorry, what?
Politicus says even stop believing in Hashem does not stop making you a Jew.
That's right. I mean, David is technically still a Jew. I mean, he's just a heretical Jew. And I guess, if you want to be horrible to him, you'll say, well, in your afterlife, you're going to, is it be beheaded for his idolatry? Yeah, I think or is it stoned? I forget now. I think it's beheading, but I'll check.
What's beheading?
There are 4 methods of death penalties. So it's burnt, beheaded, strangled, or stoned. So yeah. four methods of execution, and I can't offhand remember how. I think it's stoned. Idolatry and blasphemy get stoned.
Yeah, well, first of all, most of those 36 capital offenses are incest, right, or whatever, like sexual. Let's see what the 36 capital offenses are in Judaism.
Yes, modes of punishment. So stoning. Do you want me to read them?
Yeah,
Do you want me to read them?
Yeah.
Okay. Stoning. Intercourse between a man and his mother. Intercourse between a man and his mother's wife, not necessarily his mother. intercourse between a man and his daughter-in-law, intercourse with another man's wife from the last stage of marriage. I don't know what that means. Intercourse between two men, bestiality, cursing the name of God in God's name, idol worship, giving one's progeny to Moloch, child sacrifice, necromancy, sorcery, pythonic sorcery, attempting to convince another to worship idols, instigating a community to worship idols, witchcraft, violating the Sabbath, cursing one's own parent, uh, and, uh, and being a stubborn and rebellious son. So punishment by burning. If you have sex with a daughter of a priest who completed the second stage of marriage, commits adultery. I don't know what that means. Intercourse between a man and his daughter, intercourse between a man and his daughter's daughter, intercourse between a man and his son's daughter, intercourse between a man and his wife's daughter, not necessarily his own daughter. Intercourse between a man and his wife's daughter's daughter, intercourse between a man and his wife's son's daughter, intercourse between a man and his mother-in-law, intercourse between a man and his mother-in-law's mother. They were such naughty people, weren't they? Intercourse between a man and his father-in-law's mother. Okay, so the next one is punishment by sword, which is beheading, unlawful premeditated murder, being a citizen of an Nidakat, a city that has gone astray. Okay, that's an important one for me, for Muslims. And then finally, the final category is punishment by strangulation. Committing adultery with another man's wife when it wounding one's own parent, kidnapping another Israelite, prophesying falsely, prophesying in the name of other deities, a sage who is guilty of insubordination in front of the grand court in the chamber of the hewn stone. But I think that would only apply if the Sanhedrin has been restored. So that should be 36.
Okay, first of all, under certain interpretations, you wouldn't be, even a lot of those would not be capital offenses like necromancy and sorcery and things like that. Most of them are sexual offenses. So, for most people, they're not very hard to keep. And they're just not very hard to keep.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, I guess people were so naughty in the olden times was because they just they had to live together, right? In large houses and big communities, and they couldn't really go out and to singles bars and whatever to meet other people, and that was what they fell back on when they got a bit bored with their spouse, I suppose. It's quite a thought, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, Politicus, I'm not really a pro-Noahide. I'm an accelerationist. I'm just trying to hurry it up so, the mask is revealed or taken off of Jews quickly. So, the analogy of the frog, the water, if you raise it, if you warm it slowly, the frog doesn't notice until it's too late. But if you raise it really quickly, the frog will notice and will get out. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, Politicus said that they're not here to please man. They're here to guide humanity in this phase. Yeah. So according to the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia, all of the world adopts the Noahide laws in the Messianic age, but then they rebel against them again. So I'm betting on the rebellion age. Let's see.
But before we finish on the subject of the Noahide laws, I mean, I should point out that, maybe one of the reasons why the Noahide laws weren't kept in the times of Noah. So, I mean, I think the idea is that they've existed for such a long time, and they existed in the times of Noah, and they obviously broke them, right? And it's only the Talmud that said, oh, the Noahide laws were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I think the problem was that they weren't written down, and if it's just the oral law, people won't give it the respect that they want. I mean, maybe it's some reference to the role of writing.
Well,
Because I don't think you can have laws if you don't have writing. I mean, all you have to, all you had would be, here's our leader. You've done something wrong. We're going to drag you before our leader, and the leader will decide on, what's going to happen to you. And the leader can, well, not be consistent, shall we say, in people who commit the same crime, perhaps.
Politicus said that it's true that after in the Messianic age there'll be a revolt against the Noahide laws, but then he said the Jews will win and will guide the rest of humanity out of that, and I guess they won't revolt again. But I kind of think that humanity has to go through that first phase of the Messianic age to kind of wake up. I think that I think that they have to go through that in order to kind of suffer that, in order to understand what it's really all about. And then in the revolt, they get their second chance to overthrow the Jews.
I think that the Jews should just sort of, eventually realize that it would be better for them to convert to Islam. And when they do, the kind of problem is solved. It's like a kind of mission, the Mission Impossible tape. It plays a message, and then the message is destroyed, and but they can only have an honourable retirement if they do it in the way that I suggest. Because they've got to do something that is okay with God. They can't just say, oh, we're just going to not be Jews anymore, and who cares about it? We're going to marry Christians. And
Politicus actually put it, and I've heard so many Jews say it, it's like they don't really focus on the afterlife. It's, they don't really focus on the internet and on the afterlife. It's not really what their religion is about. And I don't even really think that they don't leave the earth, right? They're resurrected again here on the earth, and they live in Israel.
We don't even know. I mean, the thing is, there's nothing in the Torah that says anything nice about the afterlife.
Okay, Politicus says we are not about the afterlife. We are about serving humanity in this life.
Well, yeah. So they have to rank the 4 Gentile religions, but they won't, because the stiff-necked people who won't accept correction.
I mean, if they rank the 4 Gentile religions, I don't even know if that would make people Muslim. Maybe if you rank the 4 Gentile religions, they would say, well, there's really no need for Islam when we have Noahidism. What the only reason you would choose Islam over Noahidism is because you're an anti-Semite.
No, because the Muslim would say, well, if God specially revealed the Quran for us, we're not going to reject it because he'll be offended and punish us.
There's no reason to believe that God would make a superfluous doctrine after, it was already made.
But it's not superfluous because the Jews, they haven't done anything because, it's like, oh, we were just so oppressed because the Christians are so mean to us and we've always been a minority and we only got Israel back in 1948 and everybody still hates us and we can't do anything and we're being oppressed by the American empire. They've got all their excuses. So obviously, the answer must be, God saw that they were, nobody liked them and they were only very few and they just couldn't be expected to do anything. And he said, well, here's my guide for humanity, because obviously that nobody listens to the Jews because they
No, because it wasn't God's time, Claire. You're trying to do it on your time, and it doesn't work on your time.
what do you mean it doesn't work on my time? I mean, it's
It
like it's
doesn't
not
work.
too late to repent.
You wanted to go faster than God wants it, so you invented a new religion to speed it up.
No, I'm saying it came from God
No,
himself.
it didn't. There was no need for it. That there's no reachable
Oh, I'm
and
going to
and
call
it's yeah, it
Mujahid
says
now.
it says that the Jews, rewrote their scriptures wrong and did this wrong and did that wrong. It blasphemes Jewry. It's just for anti-Semitism. That's it.
Well, I mean, it just seems obvious that if you're being rational as a Jew and you had to live in a theocracy, you are not going to choose the one with 36 capital offenses. As a Jew, forget being a Gentile.
Well, the Orthodox want that.
Well, I mean, the whole idea is that all Jews should be Orthodox. There shouldn't be so many secular Jews,
Okay,
because they're
well,
all heretics, right? So
okay, so
if God exists, there's going to be quite a few punishments waiting for them in their
The Jews who
afterlives.
want the 36 capital offenses lead the Noahides, and that's how it works.
Oh, Vincent, you know that I have a better argument. I mean, why don't you just become a secular Quranist and see how it goes?
No, I'm
See
not
how
even.
you are received, and then okay, if you don't like it, you can change back again. I mean, people, sensible agnostics and atheists. If you force them to choose, it's like, well, you can't choose anything else. It's just good, it's got to be the Torah or the Quran. I know you don't believe in God, but which one you're going to choose? And they're going to have to say, well, I don't believe in it, so I don't want to be excessively restricted by laws in my atheist lifetime. So I'm going to choose the one that has fewer penalties, and that would be the Quran.
Mhm. Now, Gandalf wants to know if secular Quranism allows pornography, and you said it doesn't.
Second, no, it doesn't. If you're caught performing in porn, you're going to be done under chapter 4, verse 15, chapter 4, verse 16, as well as chapter 24, verse 2. I mean, I suppose you can sort of write pornography or erotica, as people might prefer to call it. I guess you'd get away with that. But I mean, if you're going to perform it, with video evidence of you doing all those things, well, you're just going to get done under secular Quranism. I mean, okay, if you want to watch that sort of thing, okay, there will be licensed brothels under secular Quranism, and you can have Sharia compliant sex shows, I suppose. So, I mean, chapter 4, verse 15 says, you're all right doing your lewd acts, committing your lewd acts, provided you don't have, um, provided 4 reliable witnesses don't see you. So, you can do your thing and perform for an audience of 3.
What you can do is you can just be married and do the porn. And I know they have those short-term marriages in Islam. So just short-term marriage, the girl, do the porn, and then you can sell it because it's halal porn.
Well, yes, I suppose.
So I found a
Yes.
loophole.
Okay, but I mean, yes, you can stay married for as long as you want to keep making porn with your porn partner.
Well,
But you
they could
place
just
these
do those.
restrictions.
They could just do like we are like the first guy goes, then he gets the divorce, then the next guy goes, then gets the divorce. They could just finalize the divorce within a minute. You have them sign all the contracts.
Well, no, I think it has to be done. Okay, so everybody has to agree to a marriage contract before they can marry, and that's the thing, that's a requirement. So immediately there will be the concept of fault implied in any divorce. So it's divorce will be considered breach of contract, and then you have to say, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to continue with this marriage now because my spouse didn't do this or did that and he wasn't supposed to, or something like that.
Can you give me 1 second?
Sure. Gosh, Gandalf the White wants Vincent to do porn. Oh, Gandalf is well into his porn. A society without porn is... what did he say? Is anti-life. Imagine saying that.
Saying what?
Well, Gandalf said a society without pornography is anti-life. That's what he said.
I love pornography. I think that society should just surround pornography.
Well, I'm proposing ways that legal pornography might be done. I mean,
you better make it that they can do the rapid divorces, so she can just take one after the other after the other.
Yes, but then I guess it might be considered a bit boring. It would be vanilla.
Wait, what about in Islam? What if the husband allows his wife to have sex with another man?
No, because that would come under chapter 24, verse 2. So even if the husband allows it, it's still a crime.
I think I read that under Hinduism, it was allowed if the husband said she could.
Sounds more like a pimp than a husband.
Oh, please, Claire. Don't be so cynical. Just because people are sexual doesn't mean that they're bad people.
I have to be cynical in this business. I mean, you can't encourage a sort of thing. And, if you did, then everybody will just go, or become sex addicts and then just not be able to think straight. Can't solve their problems because you can't reason with them.
Being into sex doesn't impair your reason and logic.
Well, to be fair, I suppose you are the most logical person I'm talking to, or one of them. I mean, the ones who resent you and are envious of you, well, they can't think straight. But then you have a mind of a lawyer. Have you considered becoming a paralegal or something? Is it something you'd like to do?
No. No, I don't know what I want to do.
You want to become a secular Quranist. That's what you want to do. And then you'll be famous, and then everybody will love you for introducing secular Quranism to the great American public. I think
it would be fun to open up some kind of Noahide bookstore cafe, or where you don't have to be Noahide to go in there. It's just you go in there to learn about it and talk about it and stuff.
Noahide cafe.
And we'll have all the books, and there can be rabbis in there that you can ask questions from and stuff like that.
That would be great. That's an excellent idea.
I know. I would have to get people interested in it.
Yeah. Well, That's wonderful. And then it'd be serving kosher food, right?
I guess. Well, Gentiles don't need to eat kosher food.
Yeah, but they might like to be introduced to the, I don't know, the wonders of kosher food or something.
Well, Gentiles are, I don't know if they're exactly, it's not exactly discouraged. It is a little bit, it seems mildly discouraged in that you're taking on a mitzvah you don't have to, because only Jews have to eat kosher food. So the idea of Gentiles asking for kosher food, you're like adding to what you need to do. But at the same time, they said, like, you know, if you feel okay, the only thing that you need to worry about as a non-Jew is eating the flesh cut from a living animal. You don't have to worry about anything else. And they said, well, if you're just like hyper vigilant and, you know, anxious about your meat not being properly, then you can get like kosher meat. If you're just being extra stringent with yourself. But besides that, they said you really probably shouldn't be eating kosher.
Well, I suppose I'm trying to think of an arrangement where you can okay people just they can only order drinks, but there'll be, you know, nearby outlets if they want to buy halal or kosher food or whatever it is that they want. And you know, it's like those menus for if you want to order a takeaway, and you know that there's just a whole bunch of restaurants you can order from, and but it's from the same place. And do you know what I mean? It's what's it called?
Grubhub or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it's all participating restaurants, and you know.
What am I supposed to do like this again?
Well, okay. You said you wanted a cafe, a Noahide cafe, and then uh, I guess I'm saying that at this Noahide cafe, you would be surrounded by well, kosher cafes and, you know, halal, you know, just a range of foods. I guess a kind of food court, I suppose. Do you have food courts in America? Do you get the
Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's that sort of idea. So people just, you know, buy whatever they want, and nobody's going to fight over it. And then they come and join, you know, the cafe and you know, get the drinks. But
Yeah.
they'll always be, you know, if they want cake or whatever, and it'll be brought to them. You know, if they order it.
Yeah. So yeah, a Noahide cafe. We could sell books. We could just do, you know, donations that we run on donations, book sales, and like, you know, food sales and stuff like that. But you know, try to. I mean, it would have to be in a major city where, you know, there's enough people that you can entice in, like New York or something like that. I mean, you know, the ideal place would be to set it up in Israel because, you know, there has to be more Noahides in Israel than anywhere else, wouldn't you think?
I don't know. I thought that the Noahide seemed to be in Texas. Is that true?
You're in the Philippines. There's a big community in the Philippines.
Hmm. But I mean, but people might be interested. I mean, the thing is, you know, it's sort of. I think there should be a kind of debating hall or something, because I'm sure, you know, all these Muslims will, you know, will be saying, "Oh, man, you know, our Quran is better than your Babylonian Talmud," and you know, and so there should be a venue for people to meet each other in debates and events.
Yeah. Yeah, we could have debates there and stuff like that.
Or perhaps you can get you know, a range of participating places of religious worship, i.e., you know, synagogues and mosques to, you know, want to chair it, because usually there's some kind of community hall or, you know, community space for this sort of thing, isn't it? You know, with, well, church halls. Churches have church halls, don't they?
Hmm.
Because that was what it used to be. You know, people just want to use a space provided by the church for their meetings and stuff. But I mean, it doesn't have to be a particular place. I mean, at first,
We can go to a Freemason hall.
Do you have one in New York? I guess that.
That woman said, "Why don't you infiltrate the Noahide groups? I'm too well known. If I go in there, some rabbi or Noahide is gonna recognize me and be like, oh, he's double agent or whatever." But you know, somebody told me you were a Freemason.
Me? Well, but they don't allow girls to become Freemasons. I know that, but I mean, there are women who form their own lodge, but it's frowned upon and disapproved of.
Well, they have Eastern Stars.
Well, I mean, I'm not really interested in those things. I mean, I know a few Masons, and it seems quite innocent to me. They just like learning their lines and wearing their regalia, and it makes me think of boys, playing their fantasy games. So, but obviously in nicer surroundings, and um, did you listen to the stream with David and I, talking about how it was kind of filter for, respectable people and people who are not respectable and not prepared to commit to their time because they'd rather, go drinking or something.
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, well, I thought it was quite a good stream, and it did go into a lot of history. Do you know any Masons, Vincent?
I know one.
What do you think of him?
I don't. I'm a little bit suspicious of him because he's a Mason. He was trying to bring Islam and Masonry together, and I didn't like that. Or at least, well, it's good that he exposed the connections between Islam and Freemasonry.
Well, I would have thought that Masonry was all about keeping the Abrahamic faiths together, and okay, people would disagree and they think it's some kind of conspiracy theory, but I'm saying the whole idea is for Christians, Jews, and Muslims to, go to their Masonic meetings until one day it becomes safe for these Jews and Muslims to give these Christians a piece of their mind about their idolatry and blasphemy, and this is
the Freemasonry is all the Old Testament. There's nothing about Jesus in Freemasonry.
Well, we don't know when it actually started. Didn't it start in medieval times or something? Or does it go back? Or does anybody know when Freemasonry started?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first. Oh, I don't know. They go back to like the 16 or 1700s.
Yeah, so it's not that ancient. It's not like, it's been going on since ancient Egypt.
Well, but they're Noahides. You know that in their constitution and everything, they said they're Noahides.
Well, yes, because that was the idea of being a righteous Gentile, wasn't it? And one of the conditions of joining is that you have to believe in a higher power, i.e. God.
Yeah.
And I think it even okay. Maybe the idea is sort of meant to, convey the idea of being so ancient, and it's something to do with Moses who came down with the tablets and Masonry. Somebody must have carved on those tablets, right?
Well, they say that it started with Hiram Abith or with Noah. Yeah, with Hiram Abith or Noah. So hold on one second. Yeah, like they say, it goes all the way back to this time or that time.
It's interesting, isn't it, that it says it started in the 1700s, right?
Yeah.
So So okay, and that was after the wars of the Reformation, right?
Yeah.
And the wars of the Reformation were terrible for Europeans. I mean, things were so bad that a lot of them would just excuse cannibalism because there literally was nothing to eat, and that was what they were reduced to. So in the 1700s, it would be like, what was that all about, kind of thing,
Hmm.
and. And maybe it was the idea of never again will Christian kill each other over, well, what was it all about again.
Hmm.
So maybe it was like, maybe Christianity is not a good religion, and but we know there is a religion called Islam, and it seems a much better book than the New Testament, but it's not safe for us to say these things because we'll be burned at the stake for heresy, because Europeans who were subjects of European Christian European monarchs basically had to follow the religion of their monarchs. So maybe well, maybe it'll be safe one day when monarchy is replaced by a republic, and at a time when uh, it's not death to talk about maybe having another religion other than Christianity. Maybe.
Okay, and at the same time, you blame Jews for not spreading Noahidism during. Look, well, also, you know that many Jews believe that Christianity and Islam were sent to be the preludes to Noahidism, that you were preparatory religions.
Sorry, which religions were preparatory? What did you say?
Preparatory religions, Christianity and Islam, that God sent you out to prepare the earth for Noahidism, that you got rid of most forms of idolatry, and now it's just time for Jews to wrap it up and turn everyone into Noahides.
Yeah, I mean, we can argue about the real purpose, but really it is to stop the idolatry of Christianity, because the whole construction of Christianity is to say to the subjects of absolute monarchs, just shut up and pray to Jesus. We don't want to hear it. If you're upset about any of the laws that you're required to obey, well, he'll make you feel better if you pray to Jesus and think you're going to go to heaven, because we're not listening to you. And you can't argue with us. If you argue with us, we're going to burn you at the stake. So shut up, and that's your only option.
But I just wanted to tell Politicus, he said that Europe and America will be guided to peace by mass migration and the creation of a multicultural and multiracial society under our guidance. The Sanhedrin is actually proposing the opposite. They say that all this ethnic churning is the new world order, and they're going to go through the 70 gates or the 70 nations program, because after Noah gave birth to 70 nations, supposedly 70 different ethnic groups, and they're each supposed to kind of have their own part in the world and play their own part. And so they're, suggesting that we have ethno states and stuff like that. So I think that it's going to go in the opposite direction. And that's why I have been promoting white Noahidism. I think that under that 70 Gates program, you can have racialized Noahidism, and I think that it would be possible to have a white Noahide nationalist state. Um,
Hmm. Well, it's clear from the Torah that God acknowledges the existence of tribes and nations. So, I mean, the subtext must be that your tribe or nation will be successful if it follows the correct laws correctly. And God is saying, well, it's Islam, I guess. Well, he must be saying it's the Quran, because he revealed it. Because the Jews just can't follow the rules properly, and they're finding it difficult, and they don't want to do it, and all kinds of things. So he's got a better rule book now.
There's no reason to think that he would just abandon the Jews. There's just
Oh no, he's kind of opening, kind of leading them to safety. It's like, well, you should be able to work out that if the Torah and the Quran are from God, then either is okay. And and if you're rational, then you would choose the easier one, wouldn't you? Instead of clinging to your Jewish identity because you're so chauvinist and you hate the Muslims. Because I'm sure that if God did reveal the Quran, Muslims would be kind of chosen too as a people, because they're told to do stuff like, oh, you have to fight jihad, you have to enjoy good and forbid evil and do dawah to non-Muslims. So they have religious obligations too.
Politicus was talking about what I said, that the 70 nations thing. He says that they're first going to do all this mass migration to kind of quell the white race, and then they're going to separate us all out into our different nationalities and stuff like that. And he says, why would they leave Judaism when Israel has never been stronger? So, and I think that
They're talking about having another election. They're crazy. Well, I mean, or representative democracy is not working. I mean, they've had 5 elections in as many years, so they don't sound stable to me. And also, maybe you should check out chapter 17, verse 104 of the Quran, which basically says that Israel is going to be a civic nationalist. Is going to be civic nationalist. Because it talks about a mixed multitude. It says, yes, Muslim Jews can live in Israel, but with the others.
Well, there'll be no.
That was how it was in the ancient kingdom of Israel, because obviously these Jews need to need Gentiles there to help them in their Jewish rituals and festivals. Are you familiar with Passover and what they have to do?
No.
So basically, what is legal the rest of the year becomes illegal during Passover, and they have to destroy all their hametz, which is leavened bread, and only eat unleavened bread. So, and that would include pasta and rice and barley and a whole range of stuff. And they can't just sort of put it away. No, okay, they have to actually sell it and then buy it back from Gentiles. I mean, it's like they have to. They can't. I mean, well, the Orthodox Jews do. So they have to destroy it, ritually destroy their hametz at Passover, and if Jews sort of own, I don't know, whiskey distillers or own, I don't know, granaries with grain and stuff like that, they have to do something with it. They can't own it, and then that means they have to find a Gentile who's prepared to buy it for a song and then sell it back to them, for only a small charge. That's what they're supposed to do. So that makes it important for these Jews to have some sort of control over the morals of the Gentile. Because I mean, imagine if you sold your granary full of grain to some Gentile, and after Passover, and you think, well, I'm going to buy it back from him, and the Gentile says, no, I'm not going to sell it back to you. Thanks for your granary, full of barley or whatever, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Thanks, I don't want to sell it back to you. So that was, presumably how the idea of the righteous Gentile came into being. It's somebody that a Jew can trust. Somebody who's righteous beyond just observing the letter of the law, because obviously, when the Jew has to sell his hametz to a Gentile, he is really supposed to part destroy or part property with it. And that means, it's got to be legal. It's not just some sort of thing that it has an illegal effect. But yeah, it would be terrible. Like, your supermarket full of bread and pasta, whatever, it's all gone because the Gentile won't sell it back to you.
I'm sure there's something in the contract that, says that they have to sell it back the next
No,
year.
no. I mean, I considered it's like, you could just sell them an option, or, it's like, an option is not enough because you have to part company with your property. You actually have to not own it legally, and therefore you have to find a Gentile that you trust. So in a way, it's all, you have to regulate the morals of the Gentile, or you will suffer. You will suffer if all the Gentiles around you are unrighteous Gentiles.
Yeah.
So it's basically baked food or bread or cake made with a leaven or a leavening agent. Yeah. So that's why they have their matzos, because that's unleavened, right?
I'll be right back. 1 second, I'll be right back.
All right. 5 types of grain. Hametz is a product that is both made from one of 5 types of grain and has been combined with water and left to stand raw for longer than 18 minutes and becomes leavened. The positive commandment to remove all hametz from one's home in Exodus 12:15, not to possess hametz in one's domain, Exodus 12:19, Deuteronomy 16:4, not to eat hametz or mixtures containing hametz, Exodus 13:3, Exodus 12:20, Deuteronomy 16:3. So the 5 grains. So it's oats and barley and yeah, it's quite fascinating. Anyway, that's the Torah specifies a punishment of karet, one of the highest level of punishment in Jewish tradition for eating hametz on Passover. So during Passover, eating hametz is prohibited, no matter how small a proportion it is in a mixture, although the usual rule is that if less than 1/60th of a mixture is not kosher, the mixture is permitted. So yeah, I mean, they basically drive themselves crazy at Passover. Thinking they're going to be cursed if they, don't clean the house properly or something. And this is something that they're fighting over in Israel now, because the secular Jews saying, we're going to have hametz in hospitals, and the Orthodox Jews saying, no. So yeah, maybe there's a purpose to it. Obviously they're burdened with all these rules, and I can understand that if you don't believe in God, it would drive you crazy, and you would want to destroy this religion that has driven you crazy for so long. Do you know any Jewish people?
Of course,
Vincent?
Of course.
I mean, in real life, neighbors and stuff.
Of course.
I mean, what Orthodox ones who fuss over these things?
Not Orthodox. Well, I had an Orthodox friend. She wasn't Orthodox. She was conservative.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't. I mean, yeah, she was well, her family was conservative. She wasn't conservative. She was a big hoe, but
right.
her family was conservative.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and the thing is, it's sort of as if God meant that people to get annoyed with them because of the way they fuss over their food. Because I find it really annoying when people fuss over their food, and it's like, well, they're religiously obligated to fuss over their food,
Yeah.
and that is a distance, that is, well, it's a barrier kept up between Jews and Gentiles.
Hmm. One second.
Oh, Amanda's saying, informing politicats that I speak to Jews and rabbis all the time.
Hmm.
So I think politicats is some kind of Jew who thinks, well, he thinks he knows more than me. He doesn't know that I've had two rabbis on my channel.
Yeah, I know. I've seen when you have rabbis on your channel.
I bet he's a convert or something, this politicast person.
Why?
I don't know, he has a zeal of a convert, They always sort of, they're stricter than, the people, well, the people who are born, Jewish or Muslim or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, what a great idea, a kind of no-hide cafe. The Cafe
Well,
of Noah.
yeah, no, I'd call it Noahide Cafe, and well, or I don't know, something.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be great if you could just, and it was just your job to hang out and talk to people about religion all day.
Yeah, that would be fun. Hmm.
Well, we can well, we sort of do have a no-hide cafe, but online. Because
Yeah,
well, people do get on, when they can't stand what we're saying anymore, they come on and tell us what's what. I'm glad I met Mujahid through you. He knows his stuff.
yeah, he does. Yeah, but I mean, you guys are just not understanding that it makes no logical sense that if you had the Noahide laws, why you would need a second revelation. There's just there's no reason for it. It's obvious, and then it's such a ripoff of Torah and Talmud, and it's just
It's
there's
meant to be Judaism light. It's got to fill in all the blanks with it.
Noahidism is Judaism light,
Yeah,
and
you could say, but so is Islam. Which is lighter? That's the thing. And how do you measure it? And I would suggest to you that to be light is to be less restrictive.
but yeah, but Islam is not really any less restrictive than Noahidism.
Well, I would consider receiving the death penalty for idolatry and blasphemy would be more restrictive than a book that doesn't require
Yeah, but a lot of
as a
Muslims believe
blasphemer
that.
to be executed,
I know, but
or even Sabbath breakers to be executed. In addition to that,
there's no reason why a general person of the population is going to commit idolatry or blasphemy. So
yeah,
there's no,
and Islam doesn't punish it. There's nothing. There's no
yeah,
verse in the Quran.
it punishes public idolatry. You're not allowed to do it.
Well, it doesn't even punish that. But obviously, anyone living under the system would know that. their idolatry is considered a second class, third class religion.
Yeah, I know it is, but I mean,
Without being banned, though.
there's no need. I mean, Claire, you made up a new religion. Fine, you made up a new religion because you thought God's way was too strict. I mean, it's
Well,
just.
okay, secular Quranism is meant to be Islam-like, but it's not a religion in that I don't require people to believe anything. They just have to obey the law.
I know,
I
but
think you're only a religion if you have a particular narrative.
you. ugh, okay, you didn't like how strict Noahidism is. Like, you're the one that's in rebellion. I mean, there was no need. Just because you feel it's too strict doesn't mean that there was a need. There was no need for a loosening of the Noahide laws. There was just no need for it.
Well, you say that, but I mean, nobody's really tried it. Nobody's properly discussed it. Basically, okay, if we're going to do it properly, we would have to have debates between Muslims and Noahides and rabbis.
Yeah, but they're coming. I mean, the Noahide laws only started like barely in the 60s, 70s. I mean, give it a little bit of time.
No, but why would you give it a little when there's somebody who's so far ahead of in the race, such as Islam? It's got a 1400-year head
I
start.
know, but so does Christianity, and it's falling apart. Islam is going to fall apart, just like
Why would
Christianity.
it? It's only falling. It only appears to be falling apart because all these Muslims no longer read it or support its principles. But and the solution to that is to follow its principles again after reading the book if you've never read it before. And I've got the solution to it, which is that under secular Quranism, anybody can pass or take an exam in Quranic knowledge, and in this way be seen as above those who haven't. And I think it'll make people smarter, Vincent. I know it'll make you smarter, and you're quite smart already because you see a rule system and you want to make it serve your purpose, which a lot of people,
I know, but
they don't know how to, and they just get angry and confused.
there's no reason. There's no reason to believe that God unchose the Jewish people, and there's no reason to believe, or there's no reason to doubt the way that they have devised for themselves to spread the light of Torah. So there's just no need to leave it. There's just no need.
I'm not saying that God unchose the Jews. I'm saying that secular Quranism allows them to have an honorable retirement.
No, they don't want to retire. I mean, that's the other thing. They want to be the light unto the nations forever. They want to be in control. They don't want. They are supposed to be a light unto the nations, not Claire Khaw, not Muhammad. They. So if they stop being the light unto the nations by giving it or selling it away to other people, then they're not fulfilling God's purpose.
No, they're not selling it on. I mean, everybody acknowledges that they are the senior branch of the Abrahamic faith. Nobody's going to deny that the Torah was handed to Moses.
I know, but they're not going to make themselves purposeless. I mean, to just they don't, and they want to be the center. They want to be the priesthood. They don't want Muslims or secular Quranists to be the priesthoods. They want to be the advisors to the Gentiles. That's what they're supposed to do.
They can be advisors if they want. I mean, but
they're supposed to be. It's a command from God to be advisors.
But they can still retire, is what I'm saying. It's like they're just not allowed to intermarry with Gentiles.
Retiring,
and when they do, they cause raging anti-Semitism.
Retiring would be against God's will.
No, they can have an honourable retirement, which is, better than the kind of, not turning up to work the next day. You work out your notice, and I'm saying Islam and secular Quranism allows Jews who don't want to be Jews to work out their notice
Okay,
and
well,
have an
there's
honourable
Jews.
retirement.
There's a lot of Jews who want to be Jews, and they're going to spread Noahide law. So that's that.
I haven't met any.
You haven't met a Jew who wants to be a Jew?
Who's spreading the no-hide laws.
Well, I mean, there's millions of them online. I've never met. Well, I mean, I in person. I mean, online I've met them. In person, I've never met an Orthodox Jew that I had the conversation with about Noahide law. But I mean, there's enough Jews who want to be Jews that are spreading Noahide law. That that's all you need.
Oh, have you heard of Yaakov Cohen, Rabbi Yaakov
Yes,
Cohen?
yes.
Yeah, I mean he's quite friendly, isn't he? He's invites us to invites people to his Zoom meeting. He invites Noahides to his Zoom meeting. Do you know the one? But shall I forward his email to you so maybe
Yes,
you can talk to him if you want?
yes, I know. He's the UN guy.
Yeah. Oh, you already know him. Okay, I won't bother.
Yeah, I have to be in more contact with these rabbis. I mean, there's so many questions and so many things that you need and stuff like that. And, you know,
Yeah, and he's quite friendly, and the thing is, he's probably not getting much of a response because people don't quite believe it, and they don't quite get it. I got him to respond. Usually, he says, I ask him a question, and he says things like, "I don't discuss politics," and then he sends me an invitation to a Zoom meeting or something.
mhm. Oh, he doesn't discuss politics, but he wants to enter the Noahide laws into every constitution on the face of the planet. Like, that's not political.
Well, yeah, people I think make a false distinction between religion and politics. Of course, it's all all very triggering, you know. It always has been, except that it's not triggering if everybody has the same religion. But then, actually, it isn't because then you might say something wrong, and then the people who say they have the same religion as you do will call you a heretic and maybe burn you at the stake. I mean, it wasn't exactly easy for Spinoza because he was Jewish, and I guess he said, "Well, I'd rather assimilate into the fun and parties of being a Dutchman living in Amsterdam. I don't want all this stuff anymore." Being Jewish and observant, and he created a religion of his own called pantheism. You'll probably remember David and Jen talking about that. But it was quite clever the way he invented it, didn't he? Because a lot of people say, "Oh yes, I'm a monotheist too," and you think, oh, "Okay, it sounds all right," until you realize that they are pantheists, and pantheists deny the Abrahamic God in order to not obey his laws. That's the reason, isn't it?
No, people have other reasons to doubt the Abrahamic God other than they don't want to obey his laws. And what about the random law of not eating pork? Why? That's absurd. Like, you can eat everything but pork. Why is that? That doesn't sound like something.
Well, because of people who ate pork. Well, okay, in the olden days, I guess if you're really hungry, you might end up eating, well, insufficiently cooked pork, and it will have so many parasites, and the parasites are terrible. They're terrible. They could be sort of eating their way around your brain. Did you know that could happen?
I guess.
And of course, it's not like they have, there's some sort of kitchen timer for these ancient peoples. they just threw everything in a pot, I suppose, and they hope it's cooked, and then uh, and then I guess if they're hungry enough, they'll just eat the meat that's pink, and then they suffer terribly. So I suppose if you're going to say, oh, I've got a religion that works, you kind of have to protect your people and say, oh, well, don't eat shellfish because you might get terrible food poisoning. And I've had shellfish poisoning and it was pretty terrible. So it's sort of, well, better safe than sorry, and then people want to feel that they're being protected by their religion.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
it's also okay. It's also a status thing. I think people instinctively think, wow, Jews, so rare. There's so few of them, and I've met one, and the Jew is like this and like that, and it's like, oh, Chinese people, there's so many of them. Who cares? So just by dint of their smaller numbers, they actually command a lot of attention.
Yeah, well, that works also against them with Islam, and that there's so many Muslims, they're just like, okay, fine, there's another Muslim. And but the other thing is also with like Noahide, like, it's the new thing. It's a brand new, it's new on the block, and it doesn't have a history, and it's kind of a clean slate, and that's that.
Well, I just don't think Noahidism will have a chance. Once the Muslims get wind of it, and they'll be coming at it hammer and tongs, and say, forget all that nonsense. You use our religion. Why, we have a track record, and these people haven't. And and these Noahides, they have no tradition, and the rabbis are just still writing out the rules for them, and they're also, well, they're a bit stupid. If you think Muslims are stupid, look at the Noahides. They have no tradition, no idea about anything, and I really think once the Muslims get their act together, it will Noahidism will be toast. So you might as well become a secular Quranist now and jump before you're pushed. After all, you have access to the top.
I don't
Where
know.
secular Quranism is
I think
concerned.
I think betting against the Jews in this age is not a good bet.
I'm not betting against the Jews. I'm just saying Jews shouldn't be doing it.
But they're not ever going to do that, Claire. You're not getting that through your head. That's never going to happen.
I think the Jews kind of I think they understand my argument, and they don't want to. They know they can't defeat them, and that's why they just say rude things about me, but refuse to engage on the subject of Dakat, and all the things that I've said about what's going to happen to them in the afterlife. The Torah doesn't even talk about heaven, but the Quran does, and everybody wants a Quranic heaven because it's so lovely and consumerist. Nice things to eat and drink, and beautiful waiters and waitresses to bring your delicious food and drink to, and you'll be wearing, well, good clothes, and and you'll be reclining on soft furnishings, and there will be water features in your garden. It's I think it is universally appealing. People like gardens, people like eating and drinking, and beautiful young men and women. And I'm afraid the Torah has nothing. It just doesn't say anything. And even the Christians have nothing. I mean, what is it? This old vision of you being on a cloud playing a harp. Is that it? Doesn't sound like much fun.
Well, I think people are tired of false promises and fantasies and things like that. And
It's not a false promise, though. I mean, it's like you can see that, if you're feeling poor and unable to pay your mortgage and whatever, it's something to do with a fact that usury has been in existence for several centuries, and it took a while for people to realize what it has done to the Western economy. It didn't just start last century. It was just the idea of using interest, treasury bonds and, you know, um, other kinds of bonds, and the stock market is all gambling. It's all, well, it is usually leading to trading on margins and, just this bubble that is about to burst. So there is another way of selling secular Quranism as a political manifesto, and you can help. You can detoxify it, Vincent, by saying I'm a gay man and I'm a secular Quranist, and people will do a double take, won't they? They'll be surprised. I'm now sort of, I sort of have Carol, who's, Californian, and, and she's, everybody can tell that she's American and of the older generation. She's not, some person who's just going to change her mind. And I think that will, eventually impress all these Islamophobes, because if you think that you could live under secular Quranism, provided you don't, you're discreet, then and then you get all the other things like a stable economy and lower taxes and lower crime, and people not so angry with gay people because they have more privilege than they do. I mean, currently, I think, people are beginning to realize that, it's the feminists who are, causing this radical lowering of the status of Western men. They're not all completely stupid, or perhaps they won't be forever. They'll see that it's something to do with feminism. It's something to do with sexual liberation from the rules of marriage and good parenting, and they'll cotton on eventually that it's about what they can do with their sex organs, with whom. And I'm sure a lot of gay people are also nervous of mass immigration because it leads to rising crime, and the people who come in are maybe not as gay friendly as the locals. So well, it's just something to think about, because you do understand the rules, you are able to talk about them, and I think you're happy to talk about them, ad nauseum. I mean, the others are just not able to do it. They can just sort of think, oh, it seems all right, and that's it. They can't play with the rules in the way that your lawyerly mind can. And they don't enjoy it, and they're mostly neurotic anyway, because they're just sort of so triggered by hatred, they can't even think straight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think your life will change in a good way. And I know you're capable of showing commitment to your cause, and it's quite admirable, really, considering how few people, like your ideas. But, they might like secular Quranism, and they might like you more if you, are at least prepared to dip your toe in its icy waters. But I think a lot of people are kind of seeing it, and I think that I like them to think. I want them to think that I'm not going to be too strict. And obviously, my association with you will give that impression that I.
Well, that's how you lost John Vance, by not being strict.
I know, but I don't regret it, because I know he was just looking for an excuse to break up with me. because I know what happened to him. He basically, alienated all his Islamophobic associates by converting to Islam, and then he told his mosque about secular Quranism, and they didn't like it and told him to distance himself from it, and then he was well, he didn't want to alienate any more people because he'd end up being alone if he did. So I kind of get his position, and he was just scraping the barrel for a reason to break up with me, and then he stuck with the Canadian Nationalist Party until, the leader, who's obviously deranged, has been imprisoned for attacking 2 women.
Oh my God! I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
All right.
So I don't know what's happened to Vincent. Okay, I'll read the chat now. Oh, good idea, Amanda. Yes, I'm happy to interview with Politicas. So he's gone off somewhere. I don't know how to contact him, but next time, I guess. I think he's a convert, though. In fact, he might even be this convert I'm thinking of, with whom I might have interacted. Yeah, I think he must be a convert. Posting his Hebrew. I mean, no Jew would do that because the Jew would think, oh, I won't be able to read Hebrew, but Politicas does because he just wants to show off. Yeah, I think he's what's his name? True Judaism. I think that's the one. I suspect True Judaism is Politicas.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
You
So,
talking to me?
huh?
Yes, sorry, I wasn't sure if you were talking to me or somebody else.
No, I'm back.
Mm. So you think about it?
Secular Quranism is like secular Quranism is not going to like wake people up to it's secular Quranism is going to be like it's like you said, it's like Islam light. It's like a soft kill. Okay, so the difference is that idolatry, blasphemy, and homosexuality are permitted, but the government admonishes them. The government admonishes them. So, obviously the government is going to teach the laws of Allah in school, and if the laws of other religions were taught, it would only be really to criticize them and to, say, well, here's why we don't do it. And so, you kind of are looking to slowly weed out the people you don't like. And not the Noahidism does the same thing, but it's more of like, well, Noahidism does the same thing.
We just stone them or behead them or whatever, right? I mean, that's your idea.
By the way, no,
the quick kill.
No, I know, but they're probably going to do it slowly too. But I mean, if I had to have an enemy, I'd rather have Noahidism than Islam, because Noahidism, I don't know, and Noahidism is more interesting to me than Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would rather see Islam. I don't like Islam. I hate Islam too. I started as anti-Islam. Before I met you, I was like I am with Noahide laws. I was like that with Islam for a long time. So I'm very anti-Muslim. I absolutely despise Islam. But I do want to see Islam get fucked over, just like I want to see Christianity get fucked over. I want to see them both get fucked over, and so the way to do that is through the Noahide laws, and then let those who are against the Noahide laws and the Noahides take it out later. We'll just deal with each other later, but get rid of everybody else.
Well, maybe you can try subverting it from within by becoming a secular Quranist.
By becoming a what?
By becoming a secular Quranist, by subverting it from within. No. You could try that.
I'm already subverting Noahidism from within. I don't have time to do that. The only thing I have time to do is to spread Noahidism.
Okay. But it must be tiring to lose the argument all the time.
No, excuse me, what do you mean lose the argument all the time?
Well, you're just repeating your positions.
Well, so are you.
I know, but it's like, how can you even argue against the fact that the Quran trumps the Talmud? I just okay. I mean, you can repeat it as long as
because I told you that the Torah does not tell the Jews how to be a light unto the nations. It doesn't tell them. So they were given the freedom to invent a way to tell them. So they invented the Noahide laws, and there's no reason to reject them. And they are the plan of God's chosen people. So just follow them.
Okay, I mean, okay, we can keep saying repeating our positions, but maybe the next step for us is to find a Muslim and a Noahide prepared to argue it with each other, instead of us endlessly repeating our positions.
Wait, Dalmatian.
But the thing is, I can easily find a competent Muslim. I'm sure Mujahid will come on in a flash. Well, you will really have to scrabble to find somebody who could to argue on behalf of Noahidism. So I win again.
So Dalmatian Dog is coming on. I'm going to get more. Don't worry. I'm going to radicalize these Noahides.
Great. I haven't spoken to Dalmatian Dog for a while. It'd be nice to have him on.
You asked him to come on. Did you send him the link?
No, you have to post a link.
Okay, here I'm posting the link.
Yeah, unless I have a wrench, I can't post any links really, can I? You're going to wrench me?
Oh, okay. Hold on. How do I wrench you?
Well, just click on the 3 dots and then.
What does star mean? If I star you,
I don't know. I mean, actually, on the window for the YouTube window,
I only see put user in time. Oh, I have to sign into YouTube to do it. I can't.
Do that. But you're not. Okay. Well, maybe next time.
Okay, I put it there. So he'll come on. He's the one that doesn't really believe in the Noahide conspiracy. Let's see if he did his homework on it, because he said, he said he would. Let's see if he did his homework. We told him we would talk about it. But
yeah, he's quite a smart guy. he seems to know a lot about North Korea for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I just find personally, I find Noahidism more interesting than Islam.
But
I
you
find
have to read the book. You're not
even
reading.
debating with you and like the stuff that Mount Sinai being in Arabia, and that the Jews out of the desert went actually to the Kaaba, and all this nonsense is just the mythology is garbage.
Yeah, I mean, the stories are better in the Old Testament. I'm not going to deny that, because they're being, what's the word, sanitized. Because all these Muslims go, oh, the Old Testament, what a horrible book! It's so full of pornography and sex and violence and not fit for the eyes of children. But then the stories in the Quran are a bit boring. It's sort of things like Lot, who had a really annoying wife, and or was it Job? I forget now. And it's like they kind of make it end happily and stuff, or that they didn't do the terrible things that they did, like Lot having sex with his daughters. That's left out in the Quran.
Yeah, I know. A lot of things are left out, but whatever, Noahites have access to the Tanakh. They can read the Tanakh, and the rabbis give them commentary on the Tanakh that they're allowed to understand and read. And there's really no need more for that.
No, but this is it. Why can't you just sort of, okay? You like the stories of the Tanakh, so nobody's stopping you from reading the Tanakh. You just have to live under the laws of the Quran, which will be safer for you. So because it doesn't have 36 capital offenses.
Yeah, no, but most of the capital offenses are incest, number one, and most people are not going, or sexual. Most people are not going to do, or whatever.
Yeah, but for the Jews, it's like Ernie Ducker. Did you look it
Okay,
up?
you keep bringing this up about how the Jews have to live. We're talking about how the Noah. I don't care how the Jews have to live. It has
But
nothing.
if they are the authority, we have to care about
We have
how
the
they
Orthodox
are.
Jewry. We have Orthodox Jewry that we can turn to.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, if Jewry is unhealthy, or about to become extinct, then there would be even more arguments for using the Quran, wouldn't there?
Yeah, Dalmatian Dog. I put the invitation in the chat. What did you just say?
I've forgotten.
Here he is, Dalmatian Dog.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
How are you guys? Hi.
Good.
I don't know how much I can actually add to the conversation or the content.
How long have you been listening?
Well, off and on this so far.
Last time I talked to you, we introduced you to the Noahide laws. Did you do any research on them?
Honestly, I mean, I've got things that I'm focusing on that have nothing to do with the no-hide laws. I mean, I can understand them a little bit so far, but I didn't do any in-depth research, no.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about as usual. That's kind of like my shtick, and we talk about that a
No,
lot.
I got you.
I'm talking, it's Claire is like, what were you just talking about, Claire? Oh, have
I
you,
need I
would
need to step
you,
away for a few minutes.
huh?
I need to step away for a few minutes.
Oh, good. Then okay, I'll explain to Dalmatian Dog what we're talking about.
Okay, sure.
So we're talking about whether people would want to live under the Quran or the Torah. And the only thing that Claire has against the Torah is that it has more capital offenses. So you can be killed for more things in the Torah than you can in the Quran. And the Quran is a little bit less strict. but I'm saying that most of the things, first of all, most of the commandments are telling you who you can't have sex with, and it's like either your direct incest or sex within your like direct family, like your mother-in-law and stuff like that. So, most of it is like that, and most people are not going to do stuff like that. But, then there's different things like it's easier to be killed in the Torah for more things, but most of them are things you're not really going to be doing, especially if you're like from a Christian or Muslim background. You wouldn't be doing any of these things anyway that it's outlawing. And the thing is, those 36 capital offenses only apply to Jews, Noahides, to Jews living in the land of Israel during the Messianic age. For Noahides, there's only like 7 of them, which is no idolatry, no blasphemy, no sexual immorality, no theft, no murder, no eating the flesh cut from a living animal, and you have to set up courts of justice to enforce all the laws. So, and we don't necessarily need to have a capital offense. You can get a fine, you can go to jail, stuff like that. So it's Noahidism is a little bit more austere. Like Islam allows you to practice like idolatry in your house, but Noahidism doesn't. Like under Islam, you can't practice public idolatry. Like you can't have symbols of idolatry out in public, but you can still practice inside your house. But with Noahidism, that's definitely not the truth, and different things. And so I guess the question is, would you prefer to live under the Quran or something you're more familiar with, which is the Torah? Like, if you had to choose a book to live under, do you want something that's more lenient or do you want something that's more strict?
You're asking me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would depend. That's kind of an interesting question. Can I ask to clarify, like you're against no-heightism, just to be clear?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, okay.
I argue for it. I'm an accelerationist, so I'm trying to speed up my enemy so that the water boils faster and the frog jumps out of the pot. So I argue in favor of it, but I'm against it.
Okay, that's kind of strange to me. I don't I don't know. So are you arguing you're arguing for no-heightism and the Torah? I don't understand what you're exactly arguing, I guess.
Yes, I am. I'm arguing with Claire. I'm playing devil's advocate, and I'm arguing with Claire, and I'm arguing for Noahidism and the
Ah, I see. Okay, I see. You're playing devil's advocate. Okay.
yeah. So which would you prefer?
Well, then you'd really have to get into it about the context and substance of each of the holy books, I feel, or each of the. I mean, I don't know anything about the Quran. I don't know in terms of you're telling me what exactly the Quran is harsher and more
No, the,
draconian or something.
the Torah and Noahide laws are more draconian.
Okay.
But would you prefer Torah or Quran?
I don't know the depths of the Quran. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'd have to compare. I'd have to like look at each of the laws for each book. I mean, you could. How many laws are in the Quran? Did the Quran have laws?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yes, slightly. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. But it's not as necessarily, I don't know. Like, okay, fine. Not Torah Quran. Think about it. Well, just think about whatever your opinion. Oh, you don't know much about Noahidism, so I'll ask you, would you rather have a watered down version of Orthodox Judaism or Islam?
You're asking me these very strange questions. I don't I don't know. It's hard for me to say. what does each entail? I mean, what do you mean
Okay, but
have them? Like,
come
are they
on, you
gonna?
know enough about Islam and Orthodox Judaism to know which one you would prefer. I mean, everyone, you have to know enough about.
Anyone would choose the one without the 36 capital offenses, which is the Torah. That's what I keep saying. Even Jews would choose the one that doesn't have 36 capital offenses. They can read the Torah all they like. Nobody's stopping them from doing that.
Wait,
Torah-
is the Quran really more liberal than the Torah?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't actually know that. You would think the Quran is like the most. When people say Quran, they think like serious, hardcore, like at least
Well,
as
even
far as
the
I'm concerned.
throwing gays off tall buildings is from the Talmud. Did you know that, Vincent?
I think so.
Yeah, because but you can imagine it's like all these Jews saying we don't want to stone the poor gay, and then they said, well, if you want to stone him to death, we're just not going to be there. And then the rabbi thought, well, we still have to punish him, and then they thought, oh well, we'll just push him off a tall building, and make him land on a pile of stones. That will kill him. Without everybody in the community coming to kill him, stone him. I'm sure that was the reason. But yeah, it's got 36 capital offenses. It's not, this isn't something I just pulled out of nowhere. I mean, it's just well known that the Torah has 36 capital offenses and the Quran doesn't. But I know that a lot of Muslims think, oh, the Quran's too liberal about it. We want a bit of stoning and whatever.
Give me 1 second. I'll be back. Continue to explain to him.
And that's all I wanted to say. I mean, it's not that hard to kind of work out that if you had to subject yourself to a rule book, you want the one that doesn't have 36 capital offenses. And I've been saying that so many times to Vincent, and he pretends not to get it.
Claire, do you support women wearing burqas? Just out of curiosity.
No, I don't. I mean,
Okay,
because it doesn't even say that in the Quran. It's just that.
okay. Does the Quran have laws? We were just talking about that. Does it have laws in the book, or the book
Yeah,
has
there are plenty of laws, forbidding usury, forbidding alcohol, forbidding, all kinds of things. Fornication,
Okay.
Yeah,
like I said, these aren't my topics really. I talk about like election fraud, and I've been going off on Gab. Have you seen my Gab, Claire? I've been getting followers like crazy. I'm blowing up, I feel,
all right. I thought you stopped using it or were giving yourself a rest or
Well,
something.
yeah, I mean, I took a break because like Nick Fuentes turned against Trump and went with Kanye, but yeah, I've been really doing well, I think, on Gab, and you know, have you seen what just happened with this prisoner exchange with this Russian Victor Bout or Blout or however you pronounce his last name? And
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Do tell.
well, we just exchanged it was a prisoner swap, America and Russia, with this merchant of death. This
Mm-hmm.
Victor, I can't pronounce his name, Boot or Blout or whatever his last name is, and
Mm-hmm.
we exchanged Brittany Griner. We got Brittany Griner, and they got the Merchant of Death. So yeah, I mean, things are not going too well in the American government, and basically mad scientists are running the U.S. government now. Deranged, mad doctors, mad scientists. Fauci's going around town with his shot, Claire, and these are just the things we deal with. But everybody is out of control, I guess, in the whole world now. So
Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
Claire, how did we get on this topic?
not to go off topic, yeah, not to go off topic, but
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I was away, so you just got off topic. But yeah, we're just talking about. I'm a little bit surprised that you can't make a decision about Orthodox Judaism or Islam. I think that most people have a little bit understanding about the difference and what that kind of lifestyle would entail.
well, sure, I guess, but I guess I don't know enough about like you'd have to compare them for me exactly. Like, are we talking about like from a societal standpoint, like these are the laws that are going to rule the land?
Yeah, these are the laws that are going to rule the land. Is the Noahide laws are no idolatry, no blasphemy, no sexual immorality, no murder, no theft. Don't eat the flesh cut from a living animal. and set up courts of justice to enforce the law. So that's would be the law of the land. And Claire, can you sum up Islam? I don't know. Can you? Oh, she's not there.
Well, the 5 pillars of Islam: no fornication, no gay sex, no adultery, no gambling, no intoxication, no usury come to mind, and no eating pork.
Okay, no pork.
And
Wow.
inheritance laws that means that females get half the inheritance of males. But you can opt out if you're not Muslim under secular Quranism.
Do you guys like? Do you guys like? I'm sorry, it's like dead air. I mean, do you guys expect me to be the judge here, or what's going on? You expect
Kind
me to
of,
like?
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about all that. That's. Did I come on to be the judge about this conflict of
Yes,
the
that's
Quran
why you
versus?
would.
Well, I mean, it's just, I mean, you're acting like we're asking you, like you're deliberating our lives, whether we're gonna let,
Well, I mean, haven't you guys been talking? Isn't this a topic you guys debate on like every single week, pretty much?
yeah.
You guys, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
Okay, well, that's interesting and not very productive, or it's not interesting. It's
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to really compare them and like actually evaluate which one would produce better outcomes for the people. I think.
Yeah, but because it's not like there's a sort of documentary of all these no-hides in their no-hide land and their
I don't.
no-hide
It's
living.
hard. I can tell you, it's hard for me to imagine exactly how harsh. You're saying it's even harsher than the Quran, so it's hard for me to imagine like what would exactly. Yours, Claire. What are you saying that the downsides of the Torah are? These capital offenses. You're saying. I mean, if
Well,
it's
the 36 of them, and I'm saying that even Jews, if they were being sensible, would opt for the one without 36 capital offences, but which would allow them to remain Jews and practice their religion in their own way. So I'm saying even Jews would opt for to live under secular Quranism or Sharia than under this sort of crazy system of no-hidism, which they're not even sure yet how it's going to pan out because they're still making up the rules as they go along, because obviously 7 laws are not enough. You need an actual legal system with greater detail. So a lot of these rabbis are working out their own thing, and then the thing is they're going to clash. They're going to say, oh, my version of the no-hide laws is going to be better than yours, and then they'll be fighting and they won't agree. And I'm saying that the Quran is already there. Theocracies have been already there, are already in place, and the Quran is the obvious choice.
No, but Claire, so what if the rabbis are coming up with new laws? When Islam came into place, all these different theologians needed to answer questions that weren't answered by the Quran and are more detailed and take logic and reference to like answer. So that's all the rabbis are doing. And just like there'll be different rabbis with different interpretations, there's different schools of Sharia. So you can't like say like, oh, Islam is perfect in this and Noahidism is not that. Number two, there is a lot of history with Islam, and it's bad history, and a lot of people would not want to live under it. Then the Noahide laws are kind of new, and I forgot my third thing. Oh, that the 36 capital offenses. Okay, they're not if you're a Christian or a Muslim, you don't do them anyway because they are all involving stuff like idolatry and blasphemy and sexual immorality, and most people who don't practice those things don't care if they're illegal. And also under Noahidism, it's not necessarily a capital offense. It could be a minor offense that just is like a fine. So
Yeah, but you're not even
and
sure.
is
It
what are
could be
the
a capital.
I don't. You guys need to like compare what the major differences are. I feel. like go ahead, Claire. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were going to say.
No, okay. I'm just saying that the laws haven't been written yet. That is what I'm saying. That
They're
is a
being
major
written out.
disadvantage.
They're so what? Okay, the Jews are all they need to do is answer legal questions. It's a court. Okay, the court of they have the unofficial Sanhedrin over in Israel, but they're working on, well, how do we work on this question? What's the law on that question? If this happens, what does the law say? I mean, they're kind of it's newer. They haven't been doing it for centuries like Islam has. I mean, it's kind of they're just starting out, but that doesn't mean that they can't answer questions like if a Noahide court was open tomorrow, the rabbis could deal with it. You could go and say, "Oh, dear rabbi, we have a case here. Can you deliberate?" And they would deliberate it. It's not that big of a deal.
Vincent, you haven't got a leg to stand on. It's sort of like,
How did the dog leave? I think that we scared him away.
well, he's still there.
No, I'm still. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
yeah.
Look, it's like there's a bank. It's been around for 1400 years, and then there's this Noahide bank, just starting up. It's not really sure about the rules, and you have to ask rabbis, and difficult questions come up. I mean, come on, there's just no, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, it seems like they're pretty similar. Are they? Am
They
I
are
wrong?
similar.
Okay.
They are similar. They are similar. They are similar. I guess it's like the details, how do I put it? Yeah, the Noahide laws are just a little bit. No, I don't even know if they're more strict. They're just. Claire, what's the difference between the two?
The detail, the Quran has been around for 1400 years. So anything, all the predictable situations that would occur in 1400 years of Islamic history have come up. All the attempts to evade, certain laws, loopholes, whatever. It's all been done. You can go through all the precedent, in the Hadith, and now you'll know what people try to do and how they applied it and the usual difficulties. And so I don't see why anybody would go for the no-hide laws when they've got something with a long established tradition and a history of jurisprudence to try something new. It's their own country, it's their own society that they're experimenting with. So people would err on the side of caution, I would have thought.
I guess it's would you rather live in an Islamic republic, or would you rather maybe try something that's similar to Islam but like hasn't been done before, but the Jews are helping you? Like, I guess do you want to take the risk to do something like that? And also another thing is, under Noahide you can be capitalism, but under Islam there's no usury, so you can't really practice capitalism.
No capitalism. No capitalism. I'm the what? I'm the white Gentile.
Yeah.
Picking between Islam, some Islamic Republic state or a Jewish no-hide state,
Yeah.
Talmud state. Okay, yeah, I don't know about that. I didn't really come on to do that. I don't know. It's hard.
Come on, you're like not a real fun sport or a real fun guest.
Well, I mean, sorry I didn't come on to make the show, man. I don't know.
And what did you come on for?
I'm
You came on to make my show boring?
No, I don't want to. I'm not here to make it boring.
Okay, so
Why are you refusing to answer obvious questions?
I know you're acting like If you weren't interested,
Dude, I've had to do so much this week, man. Like you've had.
if you didn't want to talk about the subject, why did you come on my show?
I mostly wanted to just listen to you guys, honestly.
Okay, then why you didn't need to come on? Okay, well, I'm gonna boot you. Thank you. What the fuck was that?
Well, I thought he would, actually venture up an opinion, but he refused to either come down on your side or my side.
I know he's being like.
And then he actually said, "Oh, you have this conversation every time you talk, so he should know about it."
Yeah.
But he just refused to say. So it's not like he didn't know, or we're like, "Oh, I've never heard of such a thing." It's like, well, he's been listening.
I've had.
I guess he won't make up his mind.
I've had to do so much this week, guys. I mean, oh come on! What a spaz out! Like what a cop out! I knew, he did this last time. He just kind of wants to come on and talk about his own thing. He doesn't care what the topic is. I mean, you got right into, as soon as I was gone for a second, he got right into another topic. So
no, I just want to talk about, U.S. politics, about what Fuentes and all that. Maybe we should have just let him talk about that, and then eventually we can sort of.
No, I didn't want to change. I mean, I didn't want to change the subject. I just didn't want to bring him on and have him change the subject, and that's all he came on to do. So, I mean, if you don't want to talk about what we're talking about, then leave. That I thought that was really rude.
Well, I invited
I
him.
just want to listen to you guys. Then why did you come on? You know what I mean? If you have nothing to add, then why did you come on? It was annoying. It was annoying.
And the thing is, he's been listening, so he knows what we talk about. And then he said that's all you ever talk about. So he can't say I don't know it. Oh well.
What? Now, I'm okay with talking about it a bit, but if you're forcing me to be in the middle of it all, that's fine. He probably meant that that's not fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know. I mean, he was acting like we were just. I mean, who doesn't know the difference between watered down Orthodox Judaism and Islam? Like, who can't just imagine that in their head for a second, He was acting like this was like a major question.
Well, it sort of is, and okay, to be fair, he was just saying, well, I can't visualize either, right? So it's like, okay, we can't sort of, show you, documentaries of happy secular Quran is and secular Quran land and, happy no-hides and no-hide land. And so the only thing would be, how would it be in theory? What would the laws be like? And again, I go on 36 capital offenses, and Jews wouldn't even want it for themselves. So why would Gentiles, be subject to, these more draconian laws? And you yourself admitted that the no-hide laws would be more draconian than secular Quranism, and you have yourself said that, secular Quranism is boring. It's not frightening enough. It's too liberal, and So I'm afraid you did say all those things.
Get more attention, Noahidism or secular Quranism, because Noahidism is more like, out there.
Well, I think you should become a secular Quranist and see what happens. You always have the option of doing the switching again, but because
I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah, but the thing is, people can't visualize it, and maybe not that many people are interested, because it's like they've never heard of Noahidism. It's bee in your bonnet, and and it's not going to happen anytime soon, and they can kind of get Islam because of its bad press and its long history, and but you see, Islam, it's a bigger idea in the minds of people, whether they like or hate it. And Noahidism is just a theory. So that's why they can't visualize it, and maybe that's why they can't answer the question.
Well,
But you yourself have already said, the laws are less draconian. But I suppose you think, draconian, maybe it needs to be draconian. But, I think my clinching argument is that, it is actually... I don't know what that was about. Okay. So the clinching argument would be that it doesn't have 36 capital offences, and it has a long track record, and people can visualise it, even if it's the wrong kind of vision, as far as I'm concerned, because they'll be thinking burqas, and that was what Dalmatian Dog asked. Will they be wearing burqas? And then they might be, the things about, can we gamble? Can we, we discussed earlier, can we watch porn? And I'm saying in only certain limited circumstances, providing you, follow these rules. So if he was listening, he can probably, visualize, this idea of no free porn. But until we can get somebody prepared to argue for Noahidism, apart from you, Vincent, against Islam, it's kind of hard. I mean, maybe you should just abandon it for a while until you can find.
No, this is more fun. I'd rather be like the lone Noahidist taking on all of Islam than just another Muslim. Like, hi, I'm a Muslim. Like, oh, really? Everyone's a Muslim. You know what I mean? It's not that crazy anymore.
Yeah, so Islam has more of a presence in the consciousness of the Westerner, so they can visualize.
This is new, like Noahidism, and it has this like this reputation of being scary. It's like, what's that? I'm the new young sexy guy. The bad boy. I'm badder than Islam. I'm badder than Islam. What do you think about that?
That's what you're calling yourself? You're
Badder
badder than Islam.
Yeah, badder than Islam.
Well, they'd say you're mad. It's like, well, you're gay. Well, do you want to get thrown off a tall building? And then they'll think you're mad, and they'll dismiss your ideas because you're mad, because you're a turkey voting for Christmas, and therefore mad and not to be listened to. So there.
No.
So you might just become secular.
Look, the rabbis are writing books everywhere, and people are starting to pick them up. So, if I don't do it, someone else will.
Who?
Well, there's Noahides growing, and obviously they're growing for a reason, because they're evangelizing.
Okay, well, can't we find one? I mean, okay, I've got two
Noahides online all the time.
But they're so dumb and crazy. Like that Alexander Nelson, what's he on about?
What did he say that was so crazy? That Islam is fucked up?
I can't remember. He just got aggressive, and then he tried to ring me.
He doesn't like Islam.
Yeah, so that proves my point. These Noahides are just Islamophobes.
Because you're anti-Semites first.
No, I'm not being anti-Semitic because I've just made the point that Jews themselves, if they had to choose between a Torah theocracy and a Quran theocracy, they would choose a Quran theocracy because it doesn't have 36 capital offenses.
Not all of them would. Enough of them, the Orthodox, would take a Torah state over a Quran state. Let's just.
Okay, well, you can't prove it. You can say, in your opinion, blah, blah, blah. So unless we have a sort of survey whose results that we both accept, I mean, we're just assuming that Jews are rational. And in the sense that Gentiles are rational in that they don't want to be executed for every little thing, particularly after living for so long in such a liberal environment.
Hold on 1 second. Hello?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm afraid, you've argued against yourself. And I win, so you become
Okay,
a
wait.
artist.
Dalmatian Dog, maybe I was a little bit mean to you. Do you want to come back on? But okay. We were talking about something.
We'll just let Dalmatian Dog talk about what he wants to talk about. How about that?
I don't want to talk about American politics. We're on a subject that we're talking about, and the name of the stream is Noahidizing the World with Claire Khaw. So
Okay.
I do want to keep it on something, and
Yeah. All right. So okay. The world. Okay. To be Noahide, it's to be. Well, to be a righteous Gentile, and you're saying that Gentiles will be more righteous under rabbinically guided Judaism, and I'm saying it's good enough for them to be righteous under secular Quranism.
no, they won't be.
And secular Quranism is easier, but even now they're going to object to it because it's so it's relatively radical to what they're used to. So they're going to go, oh, you're going to lash them, unmarried parents, and isn't that horrible and barbaric and blah blah. But I mean, it will be radical enough for the ones disposed to object to it. And therefore, you should. Okay, you already know, Vincent, that you lost all the arguments. I mean, to be frank, and if you join me, we can see how things go.
I didn't lose all the arguments. You're crazy.
Okay, which argument did you win? I mean, when you say it's new, Noahidism is new, and I said to that, I said there's no advantage of in being new with your religion.
Come on, it's Judas Fly. Can he come on? What were I gonna say? That I win the argument in that you're anti-Semitic first because the only reason there's nothing wrong with the Noahide laws, there's no reason not to follow them, and the only reason that you don't follow them is because it's the Jews who made them.
No, I'm saying if God revealed the Quran as a second and final revelation, he would find it offensive if we rejected it in favor of the Talmud. That's my Okay, so that's the argument. That's argument number 2. I've won. The next one.
Wait, hold on. Judith Fly, I'm putting the in the chat.
Oh, he says he's at work.
He's at work. Never mind.
I mean, I gave the link to Mujahid, but I guess
That's a trash argument that, oh, the Jews were chosen to spread the light. They made a way to spread the light, and it was perfect. And then God said, no, there needs to be a second revelation.
Yeah, because there have been 3 global Christian empires, and that is conclusive evidence that Jews haven't done their job. They haven't stopped Christianity, and they're going to come up with the usual excuses. But the Christians have been so mean to us.
Don't tell the Jews when their timetables are.
What?
Don't tell the Jews when their timetables are, and don't tell them what time they have to do their own plans. The Jews made the Noahide laws themselves, and so they, and not even God, are really in control of when they're activated. You just hate the Jews for the way they're working their own system. God is not going to interfere in something the Jews, he's not going to interfere in their poetry or anything, and he's not interfering in the Noahide laws. He's letting them do.
But he's already revealed the Quran, so they shouldn't be doing any of this sort of thing at all. There's no need for them to. I'm saying that they're misusing the Noahide laws, which were only, they just want to do everything the hard way.
They created the Noahide laws, so they care about their own system. They don't care about anyone else's or their own purposes. They don't care about the purposes that someone like you made up for them.
Well, it's a good enough purpose because they will be changing the direction of humanity by ranking the 4 Gentile religions and making America choose secular Quranism with American characteristics, because when America does it, the rest of the West will follow. And when the West does change over, the rest of the world will follow. So it's, pretty big.
They're not going to do it.
I know, and they're not doing it they're withholding their cooperation for bad reasons.
Why would they want people to go to Islam if it's inventing a new religion?
Because it's not because God's allowed to invent religions. The rabbis, by
there was no need
giving laws, writing laws for Gentiles, I'm inventing a religion for Gentiles.
So out of nowhere, God invents a second revelation that rebukes the first revelation.
No, it rebukes the children of Israel. So the quite a few unflattering. Do you want to read the unflattering references in the Quran to Jews? Do you want that? Would that amuse you? Shall I read it?
No, I don't want to right now. But it says that it's all corrupted, that the Torah is corrupted.
Okay, and even if it were not corrupted, the point is that the Jews are in trouble in their afterlives for the crime of Nidakat, and you don't care about that. I suppose it's because you're not Jewish, but I'm just saying, if Nidakat were to be an enforceable death penalty, then a lot of Jews will have lived and died as citizens of cities that have gone astray. So a lot of them, even if they never did anything bad, they'll end up in hell, or being beheaded.
There's loopholes around that kind of thing. I mean,
like what?
I'm sure the Jews don't believe that because they lived and died in the city that's gone astray that they're going to be punished in heaven. I don't think any believes that. So there's it's
They just haven't directed their minds to it. I think I'm probably the first person to say, hey, have you thought of looking at it like that? And they've just gone running from the room because they've never thought of it like that and they have no answer.
well, maybe they just want it God's way.
Yeah, but what is God's way? I mean, it's like,
Maybe they want to do it God's way and not the way that they feel is best.
yeah, and God's way is like, you know, you know, go towards Islam if you know what's good for you, unless you want to be beheaded in your afterlife.
No, they trust the original revelation more than they trust you.
Okay, but Jews are not in a good place right now, are they? The splintering, the saying things that they know are against Torah principles.
So are Muslims.
Yeah, but they can be more easily corrected. Okay, everybody can be corrected once secular Quranism is adopted. And you know it's true because you know
they've already started off their own system. They've already started off their own system, so they're not gonna start another one.
No, what system? The Jews are in the process of writing out all these laws, and I'm saying it's not necessary for them to do it because you know they'll be cursed.
So they have to be a light unto the nations, not Islam.
Yes, and they can do it by ranking the four Gentile religions, ranking Islam
and then
the most and Christianity
do
the
nothing.
least.
Sit around and do nothing for the rest of their lives.
No, but that's enough. And once they do it, and it, you know, and then the Muslims will be so happy with them, and they can enjoy. They can enjoy Israel in peace if only they would do this thing for Muslims. I mean, you know, what do you think all this sort of, you know, stuff about, you know, Zionism is about? You know, I mean, they're basically resented because they live in Israel, and Israel is a liberal democracy. You know, okay, the Muslims don't quite dare to say we hate you and want you dead because you live as liberal Democrats in the Middle East, and we hate liberal democracy, and we hate your we hate your masters, the American imperialists. So that's why we hate you. But if you became Muslim, if you adopted Sharia, well, you know, we can have a working relationship. I think that's the subtext of it. And you know, failing to do that will just mean that these Muslims will just find excuses to hate the Jews and do bad stuff to them. You know, it makes sense. Okay, I'm saying that these Muslims don't even know their own minds. You know, it's like, yeah, they hate Jews, we know that. And they haven't even said, well, you know, we just want you to live like people in the Middle East do, which is under Sharia, because in Rome, do as the Romans do. And I know they haven't said that in so many words. So they always say, oh, you're killing us, and Palestinian children, and blah, blah, blah. But that is really what riles them about the Jews in Israel. It's like, how dare you live under liberal democracy when it's so degenerate?
I stepped away for a second. Well, okay. I mean, the thing that you have against you is that the other thing you have against you is in the West was built on the Torah. So if they go Noahide, they don't need to learn a whole new book, and everything will stay the same basically, except things will be, the morals of Christianity will actually be enforced. Like what Christianity says is good and bad will actually be enforced on people rather than not. So I think they'll choose that. It's like the Noahide laws are like Christianity with steel in it.
Well, we don't even know what Christian principles are. Can you give a few
No,
examples?
well, I mean, like obviously, no idolatry. That's specifically talked about. No sexual immorality is talked about. Obviously, no murder, no theft. Obviously, you would be discouraged from blaspheming. There's no real dietary restrictions. The only one that's really missing is like, prescribed punishments for this. And so the only thing that you're adding to Christianity is prescribed punishments.
But the thing is, Christians find it difficult to say what Christian principles are. I mean, they usually say, 10 Commandments. And I say, well, it's not Christian, it's Jewish. Haven't you got your own? And they could say,
The Bible lists things that you're not supposed to be involved in, and they mirror the Noahide laws. If the Noahide laws are enough, Christianity is enough. It's just the only thing is that, do you set up courts of justice and implement these laws, or is it just something that a Christian is not supposed to do themselves, but it's not the law of the land? That's the only difference. You can sum up Christianity with the 7 Noahide laws, basically.
Well, no, because of the problem of idolatry and blasphemy, because we know the narrative of Jesus.
No, I know, but if let's say that Christianity was not idolatry or blasphemy, let's say that they're not Trinitarians, they're Unitarians or whatever, then they already follow no idolatry, no blasphemy, no sexual immorality, no murder, no theft, and the only one that you're waiting for is to enforce these laws. So they mirror the Noahide laws, basically.
Yeah, but they have the detail that is necessary to make everything run properly, not for no reason is Islam called a holistic religion, meaning that it deals with all aspects of life.
I know, but I mean, so does Noahidism. But I mean, it's easier to go from Christianity back to Torah than it is to go from Christianity to Islam. It's the same book, and it's just it would be easier.
Well, it might not be okay. There's not enough detail in the 7 Noahide laws. That's why the rabbis are filling it out, and you can foresee all these problems.
The rabbis made up the Noahide laws. They're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yes, they can do whatever they want, and Gentiles can use their powers of reasoning to decide which would be better. And it's a no-brainer as to which is better, even for Jews.
No, Claire.
Okay, so we have to ask. Okay, we have to ask rabbis how they, whether they would like to live in a Noahide nation, and you can imagine that they're just not going to answer the question properly, and they'll probably say there are no Noahide nations anywhere because everybody's so degenerate. I don't know. I mean, if we can find Jews, we'd have to ask them what they prefer, I guess. And then you're going to say the Gentiles are going to just do whatever, the Noahides are going to do whatever, and then it will put them into conflict, into rivalry with Muslims, and the Muslims will just win the game. Because they're saying, well, we've been up and running for centuries, and and we can anticipate all the most of the problems that you think you'll come up with, and the Noahides will just keep running to the rabbi every time a difficult question is asked, and the rabbi will just be using for his reference the Talmud, which is really for Jews, and we don't quite trust them, and Jews don't like Gentiles reading the Talmud, and well, yeah, they don't. So Gentiles are not even meant to read it. So how can we kind of trust this system when there's already one up and running with all the hadith and everything that anybody can read?
As long as your system doesn't break any of the 7 Noahide laws, we can just use the legal system as it is. We could keep all the laws as they are, except for like if somebody breaks idolatry or whatever, and it's done in a way that no one has ever broken idolatry before. So what? Just have a panel of rabbis. The government employs rabbis, and they come to a conclusion as to whether this is idolatry or not. And there's nothing really hard about that.
Well, it's just impractical, that's all.
No, all you need is rabbis advising the government, and if you have enough rabbis, you can ask them enough questions, and they can, make enough answers. But you're only doing it if somebody's breaking idolatry, blasphemy, this, that. It's there's not going to be like, they don't need tons of rulings. I mean, how many ways can you break the idolatry laws? How many ways can you break the blasphemy laws, sexual immorality laws? That's all taken care of already. There's no need to even think about that. And then murder is taken care of. Theft is, everything is taken care of. You don't need to elaborate much.
What happened? Sorry, I dozed off.
I said that you only run in, let's say America adopted Noahidism, the legal system and all the laws as they are all basically in line, except for ones like freedom of religion laws or something like that, are all basically in line with Noahidism, so nothing needs to change. You just insert the 7 Noahide laws, and that's it. There's not really, and there's only so many ways you can worship an idol or break an idol, and or blaspheme, and they're all taken care of. That's all worked out. But I mean, how many laws do you have to work out? There's not that many, for this type of thing.
I keep dozing off. I'm sorry. I didn't get much sleep last night.
Okay. So let's end the stream then.
Okay, no final questions. I mean, we've just been repeating our positions anyway, and we've been streaming for 3 hours or so, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I think the best thing would be to get a Noahide and a Muslim to, well, argue it with each other, because possibly people are a bit tired of us.
Yeah, that would be nice, but I wouldn't trust the Noahide to be
coherent or civilized.
No, not to be coherent, to be forceful enough. Maybe they were. Alexander Nelson was forceful enough.
But he's such an Islamophobe.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid if God exists, he wouldn't approve of either anti-Semitism or Islamophobia. And people who cling to this belief system will not enjoy success. Because that okay, it's not just God saying that. It's like, well, the legislation protects them already. So I know that people who just obsessively discuss the Jews because that's what they want to do when they get together with others like them. But they'll just be considered low status, low income, no information, no education when they do that. They'll think it's just peasants complaining about Jews and Muslims and foreigners again.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't realize it. I mean, I've tried telling them, and they don't care. It's their religion. I mean, that is the thing. It is their religion, and it is heresy to even try and persuade them otherwise. They want this religion, it seems, this quasi-religion of hatred.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Vincent? I've woken up a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're tired, so let's see what let's let you go. I have to do something anyway.
Alrighty. Thanks,
Okay.
Vincent.
Yep.
Okay. Take care.
Yep.
Bye-bye.